past when you thought there was nothing left for you to do with your night. The Revolver podcast, Mama Hot Flash, crew is hot, always doing you right. With a fresh take on gaming weekly, PCs, consoles, and handhelds. Bump what you heard since birth on this earth. We know that the future belongs to the nerds. Revolver Live. What you say? Revolver Live every Sunday at 6, bringing that gaming magic to your life. Doing it live on Twitch, the show that you don't want to miss. Be sure to subscribe. Crack yourself a brew. If at work or you who now, you can join the crew for the ride. Xbox, mobile, and hot topics around the nation. To gaming rigs, headsets, hardware, and PlayStation. Shout out to Joe. Can't you see him glow? Token brother brought the flow. Now it's time for the show. Let's go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past, the future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer. Today I'm joined by three amazingly cool co-hosts, the kings of podcasting and Destiny alike.
Did he replace us?
No. You know what? I had to make some phone calls to close friends and family of you guys, and they verified that you guys are as cool as I actually believed. How you feeling this week, Briar Abbott?
I'm doing very well, man. I hurt my back yesterday. I don't know how. I just got old.
Rough sex, Brian. That rough sex, man.
So it's funny. I can sit down. I'm comfortable. I can stand up. I'm comfortable. It's the transition between the two that sets me off for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh!
you know, a funny story, right? And it's a part of getting old for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I got this futon here in the studio, and I hope you guys enjoyed the new location. I just turned the camera, but I got this futon in here, and I'll sit and play Destiny with my wife. We'll play for 2 or 3 hours, and when I get up, my fucking right thigh, it's in pain. It's numb and in pain at the same time somehow, and I do the craziest pimp walk for about 25 minutes to get the blood circulation, and man, it sucks getting old, but I feel your pain.
It sucks sitting on a futon. That's the moral of that story.
You know, when I wanted to deck this room out, I was thinking of just getting a big sofa bed because it could kind of double as like a little spare bedroom, like if I had company from out of state or something.
Yeah, like a guest bedroom or something.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know, a cheap alternative. Fuck it, I don't know who's coming. They can sleep on a damn futon. And
fuck those guys. I don't even want to sit in my house anyway. Give him a futon.
You know, I got a cat bed. You know, put it outside, let him sleep. Wilson, what's going on, man? How you feeling this week, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. I've been working hard all week, so it's really nice to be home and relaxing. Started playing Witcher 3 on PC. It's amazing. It's awesome. I'm hooked. All the exploring and all the chicks to bang in the game. I'm like,
that's the best part. You know, we gotta add that new that level of review. You know, what's the fucking like? Remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
It's true.
You know, whenever when Mario Odyssey comes out, we need to ask, what's the fucking like?
Right.
Is Peach finally putting out on camera?
Wilson, what do you score it on graphics?
Like what are my graphics settings at?
No. Like if you were to give it a 0 out of 10, you go through all the different reviews. Number 1 is
I'd give it a solid 9.
9
out
all
of
right.
10.
Sound.
9.
Gameplay.
10.
Fun factor.
10.
What's the fucking like?
11.
Even on console,
it turned it up to 11.
Oh man, I got The Witcher 1 and 2 on PC. I bought the little Steam sale, and I need to actually give them a try. I never even got into those games. The Witcher 3 was that was my very first time playing a CD Projekt Red game, and yeah, it was amazing for the time I played it. But like so many other games in my history, I've stepped away from it. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy 15. And finally,
I completely missed that game when it came out, 2015, because of Destiny. It wasn't until last winter that I started playing it a little. Got the new. I have consistently gone back to it for a year now. Like a month, I'll jump in, and even if I don't do any like real like story quests, I'll do side quests and just have a ball.
Yeah, well, I can promise that there will be some point where I go into that game and play. I don't know if it'll be a car accident where I'm debilitated and, you know, Kate says, hey, look, I'm leaving you, but here's The Witcher. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll definitely get around to playing
Jennifer
it. But
will keep you company.
Yeah,
I mean,
She's
wait until you've got your PC because it's an infinitely that game is one of those ones that it plays so much better at 60 frames. The way the combat
Wilson, did you ever try it on console, PS4?
Yeah,
and you notice a big difference?
I felt like I think it might have been Hitman that I was talking to about it a little bit ago. we were doing a raid a little bit ago, and we were talking about The Witcher, and it felt like it started off good on console, and then some sort of update like halfway through the game, like when I started playing it, like just was like destroying the frame rate for me, and it was really bad, and I just gave up on it. And then I got on Steam, and it's $20 right now on Steam with both the expansions.
Oh God.
So
well, maybe I should use that as my excuse as to why I stopped. The frames just, they weren't there for me. And last but not least, the most important and most thoughtful member of the Revolver team, my red Yobo. It's here, but it's not a sentient being. So Gary Diaz will have to do. Gary, how you doing this week, man?
Second fiddle to a Yobo.
I know. Did you just Bob Gandalf me with a?
Get fucking wrecked, dude.
Wrecked by a Yobo, Gary. All right, look. This is perfection. This doesn't need perfect lighting. It's already perfect. Okay. Get on,
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the DMCA letter to your house from Nintendo when they see that fake ass copyright pirate piece of shit being advertised every week. Every goddamn week.
It's just so good, Gary.
What game is in that thing? Well,
Donkey Kong Country, man.
Oh, so you got
the same game.
You got a shitty game on a shitty console.
Oh, now you just fucked up, Briar. Don't you fucked up.
Don't you go there with Donkey Kong?
Yeah, tell him, please. No, I think the Yobo is better than two of our hosts now, Wilson. Because Briar just fucked up.
Dude, I better keep my mouth shut. That thing's gonna be replacing me next week.
Shit, I need to. I'm going on eBay. It might just be me and 3 Yobos next week. Fuck around with me if you want.
When he introduced the 3 coolest podcasters, he meant 3 Yobos.
I gotta get three slightly different colors.
I think we should transition it and have a Yobo only episode next week where we just talk about the Yobo.
I'm gonna have to get one of those. I think I'm gonna have to order one just so I can talk about what a piece of shit it is in person.
Yeah, I mean,
with real experience.
You should do a review on it on YouTube and just fucking
trash it.
Hey, look, man. Let me tell you guys something, okay? And then we'll let Gary, the 5th member of the show, talk. But after I watched the reviews of this thing, everybody who's played with this thing loves it. You guys are watching, you're looking through a screen. When you actually have the craftsmanship in your hand and you feel how thick it is, it's like 5 pieces of toast in your hand.
I think you'll find those videos are what the internet term clickbait. I don't know if you're familiar with the term.
Listen,
have you heard the internet
in a tornado, it won't fly out of your hand. Okay?
The best kept secret in SNES retro gaming. Yeah. Click here to find out more.
Well, I need you on my team, Gary. You're fighting the wrong battle. You need to be repping for the. You said that so eloquently.
You know what games have on the Super Nintendo? 60 frames per second.
Yeah, and on the fucking Yobo.
Does the Yobo support 60 frames?
It probably has frame skip. Remember the option in emulators for frame skip? Remember that?
Two frames. Let's stop disrespecting one of our most important members, Gary Diaz. You know that you'll never play second fiddle to a Yobo. You're close. I get to actually feel the Yobo. I've never, actually, I wish. But how's your week been going, my friend? We really missed you. And welcome to the show this week. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week, actually. It's been an expensive week. I've got a new fetish that I found, and it's expensive and colourful. I am into buying Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. I said to myself, I'll never buy a colored Joy-Con. I've got my 2 grays.
Colored? What you got against colored Joy-Cons?
Nothing. If anything, I've had my eyes open. They say, like, once you go pink and green, you never go back. And
that's more
it's true. It's kind of where I've gone. No, I bought the pink and green Splatoon ones. Immediately got them, and this was like, this is the best shit I've ever had. It's the same stuff, but new content. So I've now bought the red and the blues, and I'm scouring eBay for the piss-colored yellow. Which will complete my collection for now.
Is it possible for third parties to make Joy-Cons?
I would imagine so. I don't know if Nintendo puts stipulations out there that no one can, but I would imagine at some point.
I think there would need to be licensed. So Power A make wired Pro controllers equivalent. So they've made like the Zelda one and the Mario one. And you can get third parties that will dismantle your Joy-Con and put on like a custom shell. So it's just a plastic container effectively. They've put a new color on, so you can get 3D printed ones.
Because they are wireless. Even when you have them connected, they're still wireless.
They are,
yeah. Because I would like one that has like a more normal size thumb. And I wouldn't mind something with a little body underneath. Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
I find that the
curve of your
Joy-Cons
hand.
are comfortable when they're attached, but they're not as comfortable as a full. Got a little girth, to hold on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like the Joy-Cons.
Get like me.
I don't have like the most big hands, but like I feel like I'd be like trying to like work like chopsticks with those things. Like they're so small. Like
they're surprisingly comfortable, Wilson. When you put them on the little, I don't know what it's called, the little grip that they go on, it does feel like a very slender traditional controller, kind of like something. In my mind, it goes to what is the little Android control, the little device, the Ouya. The way those controllers look in my mind is kind of the way that the Switch controller looks when you put it on the Switch grip. I would prefer, some type of ends that go on there that actually conform to the shape of your hand as well, Briar. To me, that makes a lot of sense. Welcome, everybody, to Revolver Live. Revolver Live is a gaming podcast.
Thank you, Beasley. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so happy
you're here. Having us, man.
We're all here.
Wait, before we start, can I sit on the futon? Because I shotgun and called that.
Yes. You know what? It's a long futon. Yeah, you can sit anywhere you want, Gary. You get first dibs. Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. You guys can be a part of the show like so many of our viewers are today. Today's show is actually dedicated to you, and every topic was submitted by our viewers. If you'd like to do that for a future episode, submit your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 6-ish p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. The video's been shared on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel and my channel, Beastly Gamer. And if you're unable to see our live video on Twitch or the video formats on YouTube, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that, welcome, guys, to episode 14 of Revolver Live.
14.
Baker's dozen.
The legal age of consent in the Dirty South.
Absolutely.
Dirty South.
And 2 years past the age of consent in the great state of Mexico. So think about that one.
You're fully fledged. You're a full-fledged adult in Mexico.
That's scary. That's scary.
It's fucked up.
That's scary, Gary. It's amazing the little facts you look up, Gary. You ever been to Mexico?
Many, many, many times.
Makes sense now. So, guys, we got a great show lined up for everybody today. We spent hours and hours mulling over these topics, and we went and got the best ones for you, and we're really excited to present them. A lot of you guys have made comments in the past couple of weeks that you've submitted topics and they haven't been read, so we want you all to know that when you submit a topic, it will eventually come out, and whether or not we choose to do a show like this in the future or not, we will definitely continue to include you guys in Revolver Live. Who would like to get us started with today's topics?
I like to caveat, unless it's a shit topic, in which case we won't read it. So make them good.
Or maybe we'll just read it to shame you publicly.
Ooh, that's another kind of
Get
show.
on your game. I do that sometimes. I just like to fuck with you.
Did you guys check out like what's been going on with this whole Destiny 2 seasons thing?
Yeah, I did, man. And I gotta tell you, even before we get started with like what all is in it, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, more is changing from season to season than what I really thought.
Yep. So, like, I think you were kind of like with me originally. We just thought like the clan page was going to reset with like the little rewards that you get from all the stuff. But it actually turns out it's a lot more than that. And before we get started, I know there's a lot of heated discussion right now about endgame. This stream was not designed to address the end game. They just wanted to talk about seasons. And if they're putting this much effort forward to seasons, it gives me a little bit of hope that we're going to have some change coming to end game and other things soon, because they've already begun to make some changes based upon what they showed in this season's thing.
I think, in the words of Forrest Gump, I am not a smart man. And I watched the stream from start to end on seasons. Deej and the other guys at the TwitchCon talk about it, and I kind of understood parts of what they were saying and other things there. But I don't know, Wilson, if you've got a quicker mind than me and you can summarize what's happening with seasons, because I heard there's some new armor coming and there's some new looks and some ornaments and maybe some new snowball fights or something. But
yeah, so like let's just get to like the juicy stuff, because like snowball fights and shit like that are cool, but That's not. I mean, I'm probably going to enjoy that for 5 minutes, or maybe
It's
when
not
somebody's
why people come to play. Yeah.
or maybe when somebody's trying to like snipe a crit on a fallen walker, I might beam you in the back of the head with a snowball and get a laugh if it flinches you. That would be pretty funny. But
Yes.
that would be funny. So basically, what's going on is they seem to have taken a lot of feedback from Iron Banner that we didn't really like the token system being our main way of getting loot. So they announced that we're going to be able to purchase weapons with all those legendary shards that we've just been racking up, that we can make it rain and get whatever weapons that we want. They're going to do one more Iron Banner with the similar loot pool to the one we just had. Then next season, the armor will get ornaments on it, and they're not ornaments that you would get through, say, Eververse. They said that there is going to be task-specific things that you need to go do in the game to unlock these ornaments. I believe one thing that he dropped was maybe go flawless in Trials of Osiris. Maybe that's for the Trials gear. Maybe that's one of the perks in that. I'm sorry, one of the quest steps in that. There's going to be new weapons. I don't know if they're going to have new names, but they definitely said that they're going to be redoing the archetypes of the Iron Banner weapons, the Trials weapons. I was kind of talking to Tefty about it in his chat. We thought that they said something about PvP weapons as well. They didn't say anything about Vanguard weapons. There are more faction weapons to debut. They're going to do another faction rally. It'll be different weapons this time. I do believe in Seasons they also said that factions will get a new set of armor, new shaders, things like that. And then there's a whole buttload of stuff to chase out of Bright Engrams. And a lot of people are complaining that it's through Eververse, but how many fucking Bright Engrams have you got? I bet I've gotten hundreds.
Yeah.
But this is separate to the DLC, right? This isn't DLC.
Yeah, this does not pertain to
This
DLC.
is just nothing. None of this pertains to DLC. Just Seasons. They're not. This was not particularly addressing Endgame.
It may happen to coincide date-wise with when the DLC comes out. It may be that the season 1 ends and season 2 begins when the DLC comes out. But when we refer to seasons, we're not referring to DLC content.
Right.
And did they give a rough time? Have people worked out a rough timeline? What is this, every 3 months, every 6 months that a season happens?
Every 3
they
months.
Want to do 4. They want to do 4 seasons to start. They want to try doing that.
One of the most exciting things about it too is that it's also going to be the mark of a weapon and sandbox change in the game. So in the past in Destiny, when we've had a problem with the sandbox, there's never been like it'll be fixed, by then or by when. It's always been, we complain about it and we complain about it and complain about it, and then 2 weeks before they're about to change it, we'll see it in the THWAB, the This Week at Bungie update. Now, what they're promising is a sandbox update with each new season. So even if you don't like the meta that is currently exists in the Crucible or the sandbox that exists, you always know that it's going to be 3 months long until they give it another adjustment, which I actually think is really exciting.
Yeah, there's like a little bit more. Like there's a whole boatload of stuff from Eververse. So the current stuff that you can currently obtain from Eververse is part of Season 1. So your 6-shooter, your spicy ramen, your table flip, all those cool emotes, exotic ships.
Yeah, sparrows.
All those will be gone come Season 2. You won't be able to get them again.
Ooh.
But I think they said 2 weeks before the next season starts, there's this, like, it's not really an event, it's like a buff that you get.
Yeah, it'll be a double XP.
You earn double XP for 2 weeks, and then at weekly reset, you also get an XP boost for your first 3 levels because it's called Well Rested. And then you could like pair that with like some Pop-Tart codes, dude, and you'll be just
flying
it rain.
Flying through.
Yeah. It's almost like Activision, the publisher, has said, there's another game that we've got that has this double XP weekend thing. Maybe you could try that out. Maybe that seems to work pretty well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else they said was coming with it. So I mean, like, it seems like it's going to be a lot. So the rewards, this isn't really a big deal, but like, so you look at your clan page now, and when you progress through the levels, you get a certain tiers of rewards or perks or bonuses that help you get loot when you're out and about in the PvE world or PvP. They said those are going to change too. They showed off a bunch of new armor sets. There was one that they actually had censored that they really couldn't show, and they said it's going to behave differently than the rest of the armor sets that are currently in the game.
See, I saw those censored pixelated pics, and am I the only one here who thought that was just nudes?
No, I definitely thought it was dicks.
Yo, I totally wanted like pixelated armor. I wanted to be walking around like this pixelated like 8-bit Guardian.
To me, it just looked
Minecraft.
like 3 very pale cocks that had been pixelated. They were sort of the same shape and things there. I think it might have been Deej's.
There was some
personal
blue
shot.
in there, like there was some sort of decorative ornamentation.
That was
I think
the
that was a
cock ring.
piercing. Yeah, it was a piercing. We've deciphered it. Some Photoshop wizards helped, but we
He
got
said
there in
no
the
one
end.
would be able to decipher it, but we did.
We did, and I've got to say,
the cock ring.
Deej, like a beer can, just like a beer can.
The
Yeah.
fuck? Welcome to Revolver Live.
So what I like about this, right, is like all throughout, is like it's clear that they've been listening to feedback. They didn't, people gave them the feedback that they didn't like the way, we used tokens to do everything. Like all the loot came from tokens. They're making changes to that. Iron Banner, you're going to be able to get specific items using money, and the tokens are going to be supplementary to that. And my guess is that as we move forward, other systems will change to reflect that as well. They tried out the token system. It wasn't popular. Raids, Trials of Osiris, Faction Wars, those are all going to change to reflect, the unpopularity of that system. And I like that. And no, the seasons don't reflect Endgame, but in a way they almost do, because with Iron Banner in particular, the way it used to work is you used to go and grind Iron Banner, and you had a possibility, I think like 3 chances per character of getting anything out of the loot table, but mostly you were just looking to get 2 weapons and 2 pieces of armor, and had to wait till the next Iron Banner to complete the set. And I think in a way this does address Endgame to some point.
Yeah, you're totally right. They also got 3 more streams coming up in November.
Yeah, that's probably going to be DLC related, right?
You think so? I thought it would be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be like seasons related. I think that's going to be more like sandbox, endgame, DLC potentially. Like, I think they're going to drop some good stuff.
What you're telling me then is, on top of Iron Banner, faction events, random events like the Dawning, which I heard is coming back, and some other bits and pieces.
That's right.
On top of that, and on top of DLC, raids, trials, I've also got timed content that I've got to complete in 3 months before I lose it forever, and then it goes on to the next stuff. So there's a lot to do in Destiny 2, it looks like, moving forward, once they implement this change.
Having that 3-month clock, I think, is actually kind of cool, because it incentivizes you to
get the loot.
Get that loot, because it'll be gone forever, right? Like Iron Banner loot, there's a timer on. If you like that samurai themed Iron Banner loot, there's a clock on that loot.
God,
And once it's gone, once it's gone, it's gone. They're moving on to the next season of Iron Banner loot.
And I don't think that there's a chance of them being like Nintendo and re-releasing the same stuff.
Well, they did in Destiny 1. They did kind of a lot of the stuff that was kind of exclusive in year 1, they brought back in year 3. So I hate to say it'll never be available again. If they ever decides to do the season of nostalgia, it could all be available again.
Season of nostalgia. Just put everything in there. Yeah.
But like the season is going to be themed. Every season is going to be themed. The Dawning is going to be the theme of the next season, which is kind of like a winter wonderland. It's got its own special armor that looks very similar to the Dawning armor in Destiny 1. I'm really excited. It was a lot more than I thought seasons would be.
Yeah, well, I'm excited.
It sounds great. I didn't even know it was that spread. The way you've explained it there to me has filled me with a lot of confidence that it'll be a game that I'll want to come back into at the start of a season and play for a good few weeks to get all of that stuff done regardless. And then as content drops, I'll be dipping straight back in. Yeah, it sounds really good. You've effectively sold me Destiny, so well done, guys.
probably
It's
3
about
or 4
time we
copies
could
for
finally
you, Gary.
return the favor to you, Gary. You've sold us so
Cheers.
many things.
I sold the salesman something.
That's
Good
right.
job, Briar.
Gary done sold me shit on Steam, and I'm not even a PC
And it
player.
wasn't on Vita.
This guy is so good. But I'm in the same boat as Gary. I had a really, tumultuous week at work, and I worked close to 60 hours, and so I didn't have time really to do much. And I heard about Seasons early in the week, and I was like, "What is it?" I don't have too much time. And I told you guys before the show that I was looking forward to you going in depth, and I really do appreciate both of you explaining exactly what it is. And like Gary, I'm really excited. It's the only game I'm playing.
It was a weird announcement too, Beastly, because like if you follow Bungie, like their Twitch channel, it wasn't on Bungie's Twitch channel. It was on Twitch's Twitch channel because TwitchCon is going on right now, and they had invited Bungie to talk, and this is what Bungie kind of came up with to talk about. And I think it invigorated a lot of people because, like Wilson was saying, I wasn't expecting much out of Seasons, to be honest with you. I was expecting a reset of some rep and
what's really funny though about and we need to probably move on from Destiny 2, but it's a really strange thing for me because I've seen online and many people are very frustrated with Destiny 2, especially the end game.
Yeah,
I haven't really gotten frustrated with the game at all. It's so weird, and maybe because I'm just now getting my second character leveled up. But to me, it's been something to do at all times. Every time I played it, switching back and forth and going into the Crucible and running strikes, and it's just been a lot of fun. And it's really weird for me because I was so critical of the first game, so critical, to have turned around and almost done a 180, and I love it this much. It's really, really fucked up. But continue on, gentlemen.
Oh, no, I was just going to say they have another Hitman also pointed out and reminded me in chat that there's another event coming up in a few days and somewhere over in Europe, some sort of convention that they're going to be speaking at. So they might be able to elaborate a little more on stuff. Dude, the new ghosts and the new ships and all that stuff look amazing. It's really cool that they're moving in that direction. And to be honest, like just from what they've addressed with Seasons has me happy that like they hear us and they're listening and they want to evolve this game together. And like, I know a lot of people are getting really fed up that it's kind of a toxic place out there right now, but like, I mean, deep down, everybody really likes the game and just what is best for the game. Just remember that if you're going to offer some criticism, do it constructively, man. Like give it like you would want criticism given to you. You wouldn't want somebody jumping down your throat and stuff like that. So, just be patient. The game is very young and they're going to be making changes to it. Like I guarantee it.
I don't know, some people pay good money to have it jump down their throat. But on the topic of feedback, we've actually had a ton of great feedback. We will be revisiting Destiny several times throughout this podcast. I think unavoidably so. But our first topic takes us far and away from Destiny. You picked it up off of Discord, I believe, Wilson. Do you want to introduce us to the topic that was submitted by Hugo Rune, James Pratt, friends of the show?
Yeah, so the basic synopsis here is, does success hamper your progress, by Hugo Rune. So does success hamper progress or creativity? If a developer creates an IP which is a resounding success, are they then restricted when it comes to future titles? Sequels walk a fine line between new idea and retaining that which made the original a hit. Can fan support dictate development? Take Borderlands, for example. After the flop of Battleborn, are devs backed into a corner now, or will they simply have to do Borderlands 3 next?
Wow, that's a great question.
It is a good question.
That's why I love my little British bagel, Hugo.
He just said what's up in the comments too. So welcome to the live show.
I've got to say, first and foremost, Borderlands don't give a fuck about what you say. They're doing Project 1v1. Fuck the community. Have you heard that? That's their big new game.
They've kind of like backpedaled on that though, about like, I mean, I get it. Like they've said like, we want to make things that we want to make. And like, as like somewhat of an artist, dude, I can relate to that. Like I'm more productive when I'm told what I need to be done, but like there's sometimes that it becomes monotonous and I need to try something new and different and branch out. And I think that's very important, but you can't say, we want to do what we want to do and then turn around and say things like, we want to give the fans what they want. which they've said many times. We want to give the fans what they want, and what everybody fucking wants is Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
Sometimes
totally.
you catch lightning in a fucking bottle, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. Like, some actors get typecasted for the rest of their life. They do something really well, and that's what they got to do. And it drives,
like bands that have to tour on their first album songs. Like they do the next 30 years, they're playing the same songs.
Same
they
song.
have 10 albums. Everybody only wants to hear their early stuff.
Yeah, or like some musicians hate playing their hits. You know what I mean? Like Under a Bridge by the Chili Peppers, dude. Anthony Kiedis fucking hates that song. Foo Fighters Learn to Fly. They hate that song. And it's some of their most popular ones. But at the same time, dude, like, there's an appetite that needs to be satiated, and like, I definitely see it from both sides. But at the end of the day, you're here to make money, and you're here to make a sustainable game that keeps people coming back. And Battleborn didn't do that.
If we didn't have to make money, you wouldn't have to do the stuff. Like, how many things do you do during the course of a day that you do because you have to do it, right? Like, you just have
a lot.
to.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't go take that piss, it'd be urine everywhere.
It's not the stuff you're most excited about, but it's the stuff that you just have to do.
Yeah, totally. Like, I would love to, like, just when I go into the studio, I would love to just make some of the wackiest, craziest, outlandish stuff. But sometimes people want pieces that only cost $10. They don't want an extravagant, $250, $500 wholesale piece. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to give the people what they want, man. Like, and
for me, it falls into two categories. It's like true creativity is something that is unbridled and it really can't be captured. In the video game world, you have some developers that stick with, what made them successful for a majority of the time. But when they venture out and try other things, I'm thinking Rockstar, Naughty Dog, usually they see success because their creativity is pure creativity, and they found a way to bridge the gap between their creativity and what gamers want. Situation like what we're talking about here with Borderlands and Battleborn. Borderlands, like you said, Gary, I don't know if it's unbridled creativity that made that game or a situation where it's lightning in a bottle. The lightning in the bottle was evident to everyone who ever played Borderlands, but look what happened when they tried to use their own creativity to in their mind, bridge the gap between their own imagination and what gamers want. They came out with Battleborn, and it was a huge flop. And so in that situation, especially when you have investors and you have overhead, you have revenue to generate, you have got to go with what made you a household name or success in the first place until you're able to sustain your next venture in creativity. So yeah, I mean, if you ask me, the question is, does success hamper progress? And I'd have to say yes, because if you're successful, why change success? If you become successful, you need to continue to do what you did to get successful. You don't become successful and do a 180 and try other things.
It can so easily lead to burnout. If you catch that lightning in a bottle and then you just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And I'm not even talking about on the side of the fans who just continually want the same thing over and over again. But
you're talking about the creators.
On the side of the creator, it's just like you just get burned out of doing the same thing over and over again.
Becomes monotonous. And, the monotony of it.
But when you do something, there is room for growth in your creativity if it's successful. Like if we look at the original Grand Theft Autos compared to GTA 5, they're very similar, but there have been incremental changes that have made the game so much better over the years. And there are people who sit and stew in their own minds to figure out how can we add to this experience, because people want to be able to play GTA, but they want something else added to it. So if you make the same cardboard cutout every year, every couple of years, that monotony can drive you crazy, but you've got to find a way to add something.
Look at something like Call of Duty where they started innovating and everybody's like, no, go back.
Yeah.
WW2 is like the most popular fucking Call of Duty
Borderlands,
in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Borderlands pre-sequel. The majority of people don't like that. They go back to
It was a different developer,
2.
though. That was one of the problems there.
It was just that gravity oxygen effect. If it wouldn't have had that, it would have been fine. But like the point being, like there's a core there's a secret blend of herbs and spices that make a good game and good
You'd say the
Kentucky
Colonel's
Fried
recipe.
Chicken. Yeah, I'd say about 11. I think it is. But like, it doesn't necessarily have to be told in the Borderlands universe. You know what I mean? Like, look at what is that game coming out soon? That's supposed to be the Destiny killer, the Anthem.
Anthem, yeah.
Anthem
looks great.
You know, it's similar mechanics told in a different, you know, universe and stuff like that. And I think that's like a huge thing you can do too to avoid burnout. But like, I could totally understand, man. Like if someone orders, you know, 100, 200 pieces of the same one, come like 60, I am burnt out, dude. I'm ready to be working on something else, but you gotta push through and do it, man.
It's the price for success, guys. Like, if you think something we all do, we all go to restaurants, and there are places like Chick-fil-A are known for their chicken. They don't say, hey, look, we're going to start making tacos.
I mostly know them for being bigots.
Oh, well, that too.
I think this depends. If you take it into gaming and you look at gaming per se, I think the developers have very little say in what they do, if we're completely honest. Even the strong developers that, you know, have almost 10-year relationships with the publishers, even they are dictated to by their publisher. A developer will constantly want to innovate. A developer will drop a hit, and then they will want to go on to the next thing, and the publisher will quite often say to them, no, you're not. You're doing the sequel, and you're doing it in 18 months, and that's what you want to do. Like, you know, that's the pressure that's put onto a developer. A developer's an artist and a creative. Generally speaking, that sort of type of individual wants to pursue creativity and artistic endeavors. You know, whenever you read about developers in the industry, they'll bounce off of a crunch when they ship a game, and they'll look at prototyping and exploring new games. So take, I know you're a fan of The Last of Us, BC, like Druckmann and Bruce, what was his name? Bruce Straley. When they bounced off of Last of Us, they wanted to prototype and look at Last of Us 2 concepts, which was like years and years off. But the publishers, you know, the studio said to them, no, we need you to come onto Uncharted 4. It's Amy Hennig's vision isn't right. You guys have to come on and work on this there. And those guys were then stuck on Uncharted 4 for an 18-month delay to get Uncharted 4 out. They didn't want to continue working on existing franchises. You know, you look at Neil, he'd written most of Uncharted 2. That's not what he wanted to be working on, but the publishers put them into that space. He wanted to be creative and work on new concepts. So I think in that space, it's, you know, you can't really say that it's a developer that's stifled by success. It's more of a publisher, the person signing the checks.
Yeah, person signing the checks and demanding certain streams of revenue.
And to be honest, at the end of the day, dude, an artist is never happy with what they're doing. I can be the first one to tell you. You could be super successful, and the moment you got to do something that you don't want to do, you tend to throw a little bit of a fit about it. Trust me, it happens. And it's understandable. I mean, it's their prerogative, but dude, you got to make that money, dude.
What's the next topic?
Next topic is, where does this content drought narrative come from? So this is a Destiny 2 topic, so we're going straight back into the fray. We're hitting it head on. This is actually one submitted by our viewers, a gentleman called Nicholas Bertling. He said that he doesn't understand where this narrative of content drought has come from in Destiny 2. He's finding things to do every single week. There's constant events. There's new features, fun mini games for him to explore. There hasn't seen a week gone by without something new he's found, even albeit minor. Destiny 1, he remembers and recalls months and months of nothing to do, just waiting for news that something was going to happen. And in his eyes, it's a golden age for Destiny, and he's a little bit upset to see the rest of the community saying that this game's dead, there's nothing to do, I'm just farming for endgame, you know, Bright Ingrams. What's our thoughts on that? Do we agree with his sentiment? Do we think maybe that we've jumped on a community negative bandwagon unnecessarily? Where are we sitting on this?
I think he has every right to be frustrated with people tearing down a game that he's having a good time with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everyone is a fucking no-lifer like myself when a game comes out and sit here and sucks it dry like a succubus on the first day. Like, oh, I need more. Oh, you know, like, I can't help myself. What are the... So I was like, I think I was up for like 32 hours or some stupid shit the first time.
Fucking killed it. I'm in the same boat as Nick here, Nicholas Bertling. I've been finding things to do, and for the last few days, especially this week, I haven't played every day. But you know, when the reset comes around, there's tons of stuff to do with each of our characters. and just go have fun. And to me, that's all I buy a game for, is to have fun. And some people want everything, the world, complete in a game. But this is something that's not going to end anytime soon. Games like this, they're released and there's ads to it. They continually add on to the experience and expand on it. And you can't expect a game that just came out to have everything included in it when you know that the plan is for Bungie to release incremental upgrades, DLC, seasons.
Can't you? Aren't most sequels like bigger and better than the original?
Well,
Empire
how many
Strikes
sequels?
Back?
How many sequels do you know that are like Destiny? There aren't any games like Destiny. So, to me, when I first played, I told you guys this when we first played the game. I played through it. I got to level 20, and I played for 20 or 25 hours the first week. And when we came, I said, I played through the entire game, the story. I played the Crucible. I did some strikes, and I had a good time. And I played for many, many hours. And at that point, I felt like the $60 is worth it. I sat next to my wife. We did this together. We enjoyed it. And the fact that they've been continually adding new things for us to do, new Crucible modes. All this stuff is coming down the pipeline. To me, it's like patience is a virtue. Allow them to create. You don't want people to. Go ahead, Brian.
I think there's a bunch of different factors that are kind of contributing to players being a little bit salty about this. One is there's definitely a lack of features when you compare it to Rise of Iron in Destiny. And yes, that's the third year of Destiny 1 compared to the first year of Destiny 2, but there were a lot of quality of life improvements that didn't get ported over to the new game. And it's a service-based game. So people who were playing that were a little shocked that, wait, how can you not have private matches in this? How can you not have this? How can you not have that? When, it took us 2 years to get them in Destiny 1. Also, I think there's burnout. Destiny 2 is a much better game, I think, than Destiny 1 in a lot of ways. But it's not so different that if you burnt out on Destiny, that Destiny 2 is going to be that revolutionary that you're not going to... that burnout isn't going to hit you a little bit. For me, it was really refreshing to go from Destiny to Destiny 2. All new content, new raids, new strikes, new areas to explore, new activities. But it definitely feels like Destiny still. It's definitely Destiny. So I think there's a bunch of stuff. And obviously, like Wilson said, players burnt through it fucking fast, man. Bungie said themselves they were surprised how fast people got up to max level.
I was one of those people that am experiencing a bit of burnout, but what keeps me coming back, the only weapons that I'm missing at this point is just a handful of raid weapons. So the only thing that's really keeping me coming back is good times with friends, and that's what got us through D1 in the first place. And I'm not bragging, but in a sense, I'm not a normal player. So Beastly, you log in on Tuesday on reset. You've got your flashpoints to do. You've got your call to arms and Crucible to do. And then you've got your clan XP stuff to do.
Patrols and all that stuff, yeah.
Okay. How long does it take you to get those done on your characters? Couple days?
No. Kate and I'll do it in a day.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. So on Tuesday, I'll go through.
It's already over. So you're waiting until next
all
Tuesday.
of it out, but Trials of the Nine and the raid on the first night.
Now that we have two characters that are, 298 light, it'll take us more than a day to do. So, that gives us a little bit more time. And
see, I'll knock all 3 characters out on Tuesday night when I get home.
Yeah, you're fucking hardcore, man. I love that about you. I don't have the time for that.
I reap what I sow, you know what I mean? I could very much contain myself and set a pace where I'm going to do one character tonight, one character the next night, one character the next night. Next thing I know, it's time for trials. It's time for, weekend activities, things like that. But I choose to burn through it, and I reap what I sow because of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity to pimp out actually a site that I directed Briar to this week.
Oh my God,
found,
it's so good.
Someone else told me. I'm going to call you out, Wilson. You say you've only got a couple of weapons left to get. Okay. I bet you haven't. There's a website that we found called destinysets.com. DestinySets.com. One word. If you check that out.
Go to it.
Yeah, check it out. I'd encourage the viewers to check it out. Log into it, and it's got a checklist of every single legendary and exotic piece of armor and weapon in game, where you get it from, and then it's got a little tick box next to it if you've achieved it or not, if you currently own that item or not. And you'd be surprised at how much more incentivized you'll be to put little green ticks in every single box on there. I didn't realize there was so much that I was missing in Destiny, and there's a huge amount of content in there that's still available for people if you're a completionist and you want to go through and get armor sets and things that are on there. And also, this is a great website because you can click through and look at the item's stats and think, is this a weapon I want to go for? Is this something that's got stats that I think would find interesting to me? If so, okay, I get this from IO, so I'm going to go and grind public events on IO, and I'm going to turn in and try to get this weapon that I'm missing.
Yeah,
and this is something that's
I'm pretty much only missing,
hugely motivating.
I'm only missing like 4 things. Everything else I can't get right now.
Holy
like
shit,
the weapons that
everything.
are in the faction. Like I'm missing 2. I'm missing 2. What is it? The Hunter Dragon chest piece, the Titan Trojan Jetman boots, the little Jetman boots, the Rocket Man ones, and then like pretty much. I don't really run strikes for Vanguard tokens because it's not really worth it. The sniper's garbo anyway. I don't really want that. I just pretty much want the raid sniper. Like, yeah, I'm missing 1, 2, 3 raid weapons. And then the rest of the stuff is stuff that you can't get from the factions because they haven't released them yet.
Oh, wow. This is an awesome website. You guys need to check this out after the show. My goodness.
Cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
For
like,
me,
I'm
it's
not
not
really
even
worried
about
about
the
armor.
weapons. That's for me. It is about the armor. I want to get those armor sets, man. Some of them look so good, and being able to click on them.
They do, but like there's no. I really think they missed an opportunity with random rolls on armor. Like
I think they missed an opportunity with mods.
Yeah, mods, but like I mean, armor in itself. Why does every set of Crucible armor for Hunter have to be mobility when mobility does nothing?
Because
like,
that's why they
want
to.
Listening, don't spec mobility. It's all about recovery in this game.
Hunters are all over this problem, but that's how they've decided to distinguish the different classes, right? Is that the hunters have high mobility, the
they don't.
Warlocks have what's that?
They don't. It doesn't. Mobility affects your walking speed.
No, I
and
understand your problem.
Jump height.
No, I totally understand your problem
Okay.
with the stat itself, but the stat is there. They have high mobility, right? They have a high mobility stat.
Gotcha.
The Warlocks have a high recovery stat, and the Titans have high. What is the third one called?
Resilience
stats.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try to piece together armor that kind of breaks you from that mold, but for the most part, they keep you to that mold. And the mobility stat gets a lot of flack because it doesn't increase your sprint speed, but it does have tangible benefits. Like, there are tangible benefits. In a gunfight, when you're fighting a high mobility hunter, you can see them strafing left and right faster than most characters do, and they are harder to hit. You know, that's a fact. You've seen that hunter that it's just fucking hard to kill because he's bouncing all over the place and he's around that corner and up in the air and behind that box faster than you can even shoot at him. Like,
well, I'll agree with like the strafing gunfight, but like it's not going to help your initial jump height. It's not going to help you get to anywhere quicker, in my opinion. But like when someone's strafing like that on them, all you got to do is land one good shot with something with high caliber rounds and you get the chance of flinching them. You know what I mean? Like that's the big thing right now.
I would like to see
it's RNG.
If it increased your sprint speed, that's the only change I'd like to see to it. It's just an increase to sprint speed and not a huge one.
Right.
Because then I think it would legitimately be overpowered.
For sure. It needs to be very minute. Like,
but it should
one
be
mobility
reflected.
to 10 should be minute. It should be a very gradual arc there. It shouldn't just and like all of a sudden you're fucking faster than D1 skating Titans. You know what I mean? Like, and there'd be no reason to run anything else.
So on the topic of the world's slowest quickfire, we're going to transition to the next quickfire topic after 20 minutes of debate on one of them. This one's actually exactly shooting straight from the hip. I think this one's going to tap right into an itch that you can scratch, basically. This one's around biggest gaming disappointments. This was a suggestion by Paul Gifford, who said, given the Twitter rage on D2's apparent state, which I guess many people are seeing as a big gaming disappointment, rightly or wrongly. We've just spoken about that there. He wanted to ask us what ours were for him. It was the Order 1886, which is why I ask you, BC, because I know you're a fan of it. He describes that as the hot girl in college who is beautiful and fun to look at for maybe an hour or two over lunch, but expensive, hollow, and absolutely uninteresting. So,
perfect.
Paul, tell us how you really feel. Paul, tell us how you really feel about her.
That is a perfect description of that game.
True.
BC, Order 1886, biggest disappointment for him. You loved it. Why? And what was your disappointment then?
I didn't fucking love that game. You know what?
You did.
No, I didn't. Watch my review. I said at the end of my review that I would recommend it, but upon reflection of my review, and I've said it since then, I've said it on the show, that I didn't like the game. Looking back at it, I actually went back and played portions of the game again, and it was just very hollow. It was a very hollow experience, a beautiful exterior with nothing on the inside, and that's how I felt about the game. But that's kind of dated, and I think that a lot of people are disappointed in that game for many, many reasons.
God, I was hyped for that game. I was so hyped.
I was too, man. I was really hyped for that game, but time has come and gone, and there have been other disappointments, and I could think of two games in the recent year and a half that have disappointed me tremendously. One would be Friday the 13th. Now I know I'm probably going to get crucified in the comments.
Do tell.
Friday the 13th for me started out as, I'm a horror fan. Sorry, Gary. And, I always thought that the idea of being Jason and chasing people around and murdering them or getting away from Jason would be very, very fun. And initially it felt that way. But upon much more reflection of the game and seeing how uneven, it was being a counselor versus Jason, and how basically you had to jump through 25 hoops to survive as a counselor, and basically killing Jason was virtually impossible. And Jason was incredibly overpowered. And the fact remains that there's very little to the gameplay itself. And so I played that game for probably a month and a half sporadically until it really dawned on me how one-sided the gameplay was.
That game was fun until people figured out how to play it correctly.
That's just it, though. You gotta play it with friends. You gotta play it with friends, dude. If you're playing it with people online, dude, you guys have seen me. Sometimes I get a little competitive online. I really want to win sometimes. So when I'm playing against randoms, dude, I'm getting super competitive. When I'm playing against friends, I'm going for fun factor. I'm going, if I attempt to go after this guy, I could completely derp, and then everyone will laugh at my expense. So it's worth it. That's
an experience. And honestly, guys, we need to do that more. We used to play a lot more games together as the Revolver crew, and it's happening less and less. And I'm sick of this shit.
I keep asking you to buy Primal Carnage, and I'll play it with you, but every time I ask, you tell me I'm not playing that dinosaur shit. No.
We need to have a drinking Revolver night, and I know Tuesday night would be hard for some people to drink or whatever, but we need to do some fun shit, like Cards Against Humanity and
a little Friday night.
I set my own schedule, baby. I'll drink whenever.
Yeah. Have a couple of drinks, do some dumb shit online.
That's right. But
Beasley's having second thoughts here.
I don't want to fucking drink, okay?
You don't got to drink. You need to be silly.
I'm done with that shit.
You just got to deal with us.
I'm a black man drinking. I'm a black man drinking in the hood. Ain't nothing good gonna happen with that shit.
Heard that. I hear you.
Yeah, word life, son.
Can relate. But for just getting back on topic here, rapid fire. Remember, we got to. It was No Man's Sky for me. Shocker. Sorry if I took somebody else's. Fucking No Man's Lie.
It's a good game. Me and Briar are going to defend
It's a good game now, dude, but you don't understand, dude. When something burns your ass, if I sit down and there's a hot coal on my chair and my ass is burnt, I'm not going to sit back down in that chair. I'm not going to go, last time, things have changed since I sat. No, fuck that chair. It's going out the window.
You're so right, man.
And I'm done with it.
Respect, Wilson.
With that being said, I should go back and give it a second look.
You're assy. You know what?
Maybe I'm a masochist.
You got a nice
I'll tell you, Wilson,
scar on your ass. You're ready to get burnt again.
That game, I mean, they made promise upon promise about what was going to be that game, and a lot of that shit wasn't there. But the hype for that game was just too fucking high. If the developers of that game had stayed off of the talk shows and hadn't made all those promises, what they actually delivered, I had a lot of fun with at launch. I know that the hate for that game is fucking super real for people. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had fun with that game.
I had fun too, but like I feel like I was taken advantage of. I felt like I was dope sick from Destiny. I needed something that I couldn't get, and No Man's Sky is like, hey, I got this. Y'all want some No Man's Sky? It's this new stuff, and I'm like, yeah, man, like I'm down for the ride. And then it was a bad trip.
As Destiny method, it was like Destiny methadone. That's what you treated No Man's Sky.
That's exactly what it was for him, Gary. A quick honorable mention for me was Quantum
Rapid
Break. Rapid
fire, Beasley.
I just honorable mention, goddammit. That's all I'm gonna say. Quantum Break on the Xbox One was a huge letdown.
Right,
I really wanted it to be good.
I'm gonna drop mine, and literally this is gonna be like a penis slap to the face of any Sony fan. Bloodborne, fucking Bloodborne. Like,
kiss my ass. You must be tripping.
I've heard from so many people. I played Dark Souls 3, which was the first Dark Souls I really got into and enjoyed. And everyone told me, if you like Dark Souls, play Bloodborne. Bloodborne's the best Dark Souls thing. I got into the first town. My frames hit 15. I turned it off and never played it again.
It is a glaring problem for that game. Everything else about that game I fucking love. But man, and it'll be at the most random times too, Gary. It's like you're not even in like a place that you'd think would do it. There's this one section early in the game where you walk across a bridge, and it's like, it's like, oh my god!
I distinctly remember the bit I turned it off. I did the first part where you're in like the mausoleum, or you get resurrected, whatever, and then you get into a town. You climb up a bridge, you go down an alleyway into a sewer, then you go up a rope ladder, and the rope ladder was like, it must have been 15 frames. I didn't have a frame counter, but it was awful, and it had been stuttering and jumping all the way to there. The guy looked like a scarecrow. I didn't really like the animation of him. Just nothing grabbed me, and obviously I gave it, like,
everything else about that game, Gary, I fucking love. I love the themes. I love the setting. I loved everything about that game, except that frame rate was fucking awful. Like awful.
Bloodborne was amazing.
It needed the PC release. It never got a
if it had gotten a PC release, it would. I think it'd be one of my favorite games of all time.
They should remake it HD, work around whatever fucking legalities they have to, so that it's not a Sony exclusive.
It's one of the few games that doesn't get any help from being on the pro mode of PlayStation 4 too. It's like,
you figured that would be one of the first ones that they would go back and be like, this game needs a fucking facelift or this house makeover.
The boost mode didn't affect the frame rate or anything, resolution, so that wasn't changed at all. And to be totally honest, I'm a console peasant. So during the time where I first played Bloodborne, I didn't really notice all these glaring issues until after it was, exposed to the world that these frame rate hiccups were happening. And then I started to notice it. But before that, I played through the game and I had 70 hours of absolute bliss playing that game. I wish the frame rate was better, Gary. I swear to God, if it was, you would have loved that game, man.
Probably would have, but for that reason, it's my biggest disappointment.
You got burnt on the ass like Wilson. Right. I got you, man.
I was definitely really looking forward to the Order 8086. I bought the fucking collector's edition with the statue. I mean, I was really looking forward to this, but not nearly as much as I was looking forward to the Division. I mean, from the day we first saw the Division at E3, and they were talking about how it'd be cooperative and it'd be tactical and there'd be loot collection. Like, from the moment that game got released, we started talking about that, Beasley, way back when.
Years ago, Briar.
And anytime somebody would ask me what the most anticipated game coming out was, it was that game. Mm-hmm. That game came out, and it was fucking boring. I mean, it had these systems.
You really did try, Briar.
It had all these systems. I loved the beta because the beta didn't give me enough time to realize, this game's boring.
Do you think that was part of the problem, though, that the beta kind of did give us a little bit of a taste of what was to offer other than the excursions?
So the biggest problem I had with the game in the beta was that every character or every enemy felt like a bullet sponge, and I assumed that once we got into the game and we got powered up, that would change, right? It didn't change. And that's true about Destiny, too, is that characters are bullet sponges, but I could forgive it more in my mind because they're aliens. And, one bullet to the head isn't going to kill an alien because it's fucking space magic. Mm-hmm. But when I was fighting just some random dude in the street, and I'd unload clip after clip of fucking sniper rifle ammo into this dude's dome.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the fuck?
Like, is this Valis to Arc Year 1? Did this guy fuck a cabal? What is this?
Like the game was just boring.
There was some Luke Cage looking motherfuckers as well. There was some like guys in hoodies.
Yeah.
Just like taking rounds to their like fleeced hoodies.
Yeah, what kind of hoodie is that, man?
Like,
is that, baby?
The
DC?
The Dark Zone was still fun because of the shenanigans you could pull in that. But ultimately, I just couldn't force myself to play to level up my character because I was just so bored doing like the random missions that you have to do just to progress in that game. It was really disappointing. And later on, when they released the survival mode, like I had a blast with the survival mode because they took all the boring shit out and replaced it with really high octane excitement. And all the systems that were in place for that game stood up once they changed up a couple of things about it. But I still have high hopes for the Division 2, but the Division is probably the most disappointed I've been in a game in a long time.
So I put about 200 hours. I put about 200 hours into the Division according to Uplay on the launcher, and actually a lot of the gripes you have, Briar, around the bullet sponges actually dissipate once you get good gear and you can shred people in half a clip. It does feel a lot better. However, that being said, you're still right. You never get away from the fact that it's just a boring gameplay loop, even with the set armors and the unique ways to play.
Yeah.
There's only so many different M16s you can hold or AK-40s. It's human guns, the guns that you could walk into Walmart in America, I guess, and buy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
you can't buy M16s at Walmart. It'd be a lot cooler if you
Don't
could.
lie to him.
It's not like
buy
a
AK-47s at Kroger.
A Galahorn or a Thorn or a Last Word or this kind of like mystic exotic weapon. It's still some guy in a hoodie and a variant of an AK or a SCAR that I'm going to shoot him with. It's very difficult to want that loot, if it's just another real world gun. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head.
I had a blast in the beta, dude. Me and my friends, man, we would just run servers and buck people up, dude. And we'd have like the whole server. They'd have us all cornered on top of the library roof. And in the beta, you couldn't like get to that far back alley to like flank us. We'd just be running servers, man. And I think I put just as much time into the beta as I did to the actual game. I mean, hundreds of hours into the beta, dude. Yeah, like it was up there. But I feel like the best thing that ever came out of the Division for me personally was that before I met and hung out with Briar, he killed one of my best friends in the Dark Zone. Rip Mustard Tiger 3D. We love you, buddy.
That's how Briar makes friends. That's how Briar makes friends, Wilson. He'll come and kill your friend and look at you and say, "Hey, you look like you need a friend."
That's when he put him on YouTube too. My buddy saw that he was down, got him up. They started running around, and Briar started looking around, and he was like, just mowed him down, and then put it on a YouTube video, and it was glorious. I log in the next day, and my buddy Mustard's like, "Yo, man, I ran into your boy, Briar Rabbit. Fucking murdered me in the Dark Zone." It was pretty funny, actually. He wasn't salty about it. He thought it was fucking hilarious.
Oh, Briar, you make a hell of an impression.
Just taking
people up for no reason. This guy looks like the next victim.
It was like a year later or 2 years later when we found that I actually did make a YouTube video out of that.
Oh, Briar, you're such a sadist. All right, so the next topic comes from our longtime viewer. He's been viewing us for at least 14 episodes. Super Dan, who asks, is Destiny 2 PC the savior we hope it is? He says, is Destiny 2 PC going to be the answer to many or all of the current gripes people have with the game? Should we expect it to be? Is it fair that console players should be subjected to the inferior version when they supported the game from the outset?
I think it's going... Topic. Yeah, this is our last Destiny topic, by the way. I think that it's going to solve some issues. More frames obviously allow you more room to either hit or miss your shots, depending. Mm-hmm. Frame rate is just like, it's much smoother on the eyes. It makes weapons that, maybe it's not just the frame rate, but like, dude, hand cannons were balling on the PC beta. A lot of weapons that didn't really feel that good on console felt great on PC. And I don't know if that's a mix of like frame rate and like PC magic and stuff that I don't understand, but it's not going to fix the end game. You know, like it's not going to fix the way people go about getting loot. It's going to be the same thing. It's just that weapons are going to feel a little bit different. There's going to be a different meta, and it's an excuse for people to grind it all over again. Do I think it's unfair that console players, quote unquote, get left in the dust? Man, as long as you're having fun and you're at the place where your original friends were, that's all that matters. Like, people on PC are also supporting Bungie. You know what I mean? Like, it's universal support all around, and we're in this shit together, man. So let's fucking get along.
Right.
We can do this.
Here's the thing about when we played the PC beta, and it's something that people don't talk about a lot, I think, because they don't want to make console players feel bad about the game that they love. But the PC beta, and it's not related to frame rate or graphic quality, it just felt better. There was something about the way the game controlled on mouse and keyboard, but also on controller, that felt better. It felt more like Destiny 1 than Destiny 2 on the PC or on the PlayStation and Xbox 2. It's very odd. I played a lot of the PC beta, and if they don't change anything as far as aim assist goes and that kind of thing, even on a controller, it's going to be my preferred way to play. Not because of frame rates, not because of graphical settings, but because it just felt better. And that's fucked.
See, this is something that I normally don't know much about, 30 versus 60, but a game that's very close to my heart got an upgrade of 60 frames per second on PS4 over PS3, and that was The Last of Us. And I played The Last of Us years ago on PS3, and I thought it was just magical. And then when I finally played it again at 60 frames per second on the PS4, I could never go back to 30. And so in that way, I understand exactly where you guys are coming from. The PC version will be the superior place to play the game. But for me, being a console gamer primarily, this is what I'm used to. Playing Destiny on the PS4 feels fine for me. You can't miss what you haven't really experienced. Now, if you have a nice PC and you have Destiny on your PC and you have it on PS4 and you have them both, you're going to play it on PC because you're going to feel the difference. But people like me, unless I decide to upgrade when I get my, my new rig and stuff, which more than likely I will at some point in the future, PS4 is fine. And I don't feel like we're getting left behind because we were the first adopters. I feel like we're, like Wilson said, we're playing where our people are. We're playing. My entire friends list is literally on PS4. I have like 5 friends on Xbox and 3 friends on Steam, and that's you guys.
See, what you need to do is just send all your friends PCs so that you can just move them all over.
I know people with coats, but the coats are not that big, bro.
I mean, for me, PC being the savior or not, I really don't care. Like, I care about me and my own experience. Like, I've never understood that, why people will always look to what other people are doing and what other people want to do. But just, if I take myself as a sample size of 1, just the moment-to-moment gameplay, I will enjoy more on a native mouse and keyboard because that's the input that I prefer. The movement of 144 frames a second, just the actual action of the larger field of view, all of these minor improvements to me, whether you think it's got endgame or not, just running public events, running strikes, just doing that kind of consistent loop, I will find infinitely more enjoyment in doing it with those creature comforts around, the mouse and keyboard, the frames, the field of view, etc. So for me, I think it will be a savior. I will play through all the content again with a smile on my face, and I'll enjoy it so much more.
This is nothing new.
I've never seen you smile, so I got to see that.
This is nothing new with games.
On
like
console when I play with you.
There you go. This is nothing new. I mean, like people want to get look, this isn't an attack when we say that, we, in our opinion, we think that the better experience is going to be on PC. First of all, that's our opinion. Secondly, it's nothing new, man. I mean, this whole games, have better frame. There's been lots of games that have come out on console and PC, and a lot of people gravitate to the PC version. I hate to use the example that everyone gives, but Overwatch, you know what I mean? People love the PC version. That's where a lot of people will eventually migrate to if they want to continue to play the game, maybe competitively. There's still a lot of casual people that play on it that, the game in itself, you could argue, is a competitive game because that's all you could do. But there's still a lot of casual players out there who don't give a shit about their ranking. They just want to have fun. but like this is nothing new. It's not a personal dig. Like if you're having fun, then fuck everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's as simple as that. Like if you're having a good time with your friends, who's anyone to say that they're having more fun than you, or you're not allowed to have that amount of fun?
However, an addendum to that statement, which I totally agree with, Wilson, is that if you see your friends having fun, it is your duty as a friend to bust it up.
Oh,
there you go.
So if I see Beastly having fun with his Yobo, my immediate reaction is, why are you holding that toaster?
And if you ever want to just generally feel bad about yourself or feel better about the Destiny 2 community, take Wilson's advice. Go and play PC Overwatch. Get to about bronze and silver ranking, and then join Team Chat. Just do it. I'm not even going to go into it. Just do it. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
It's funny that, this seems to be a new thing, but this has been kind of ubiquitous across gaming for at least the past 15 years at PC versions of games.
PC versus console is, I feel like, relatively new, but even back in the 90s, it was a thing. And the console like wars Doom. Between Nintendo Doom. And Sega, Quake. And between Sony and Nintendo, and between Sony and Microsoft. I mean, everybody wants to justify their own purchase, and they want to. But you know what? Feel superior because of the decision they made.
It was really solidified just now by Wilson, and I think that at the end of the day, that really should be everyone's motivation. Have fun. Yeah. If you're playing your Xbox One and you're playing with your friends, have fun. If you're on your PS4 and you're playing with your friends, have fun. And the same with PC. Enjoy yourself. That's what this shit is all about.
Next topic. Rapid fire.
What does that mean?
Where we at?
Video game amnesia.
Yes.
I like
if
this
you could choose one video game from your past that you could forget at any time you wanted and replay it over and over again, what would you choose? Now, this topic was submitted by an awesome guy named Beastly Gamer a while back, but we never used it. Thank you, Beastly Gamer. Isn't it BG? Beastly?
Never heard of him.
He's Big Girth.
Okay. Big Girth. That's better.
Ooh,
so
I've heard of him.
They know.
What up, Big Perm? I mean, Big Worm.
Big Perm. So this topic is really cool because you can use it at any time, multiple times. So
wait. Can we revisit that? You just said that you submitted it and you came forward with the line, "This topic is really cool."
I have a picture of myself on the wall and a backup in a bag.
This is one of the best topics. We're winning with this topic.
This is the best topic of the day. Everybody else had good ones. This is the best.
Sorry, I wanted to carry on with the most winning topic of the day. The other topics make me sad.
Me too. So, if you could choose any game from your past, any game in the entire history of your life that you could forget at the drop of a dime, you had to have a dime, but you could play through the game and immediately forget it to play through it again, over and over again, what game would you choose? And that's for everybody. This is going to be
I'm going to
awesome.
go ahead and say I've answered this question before. We answered this on Beastly Thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And my answer back then was the original BioShock because that game was just outstanding. But like it was so story based that I didn't feel like replaying it would give you the same effect. But now I've actually changed that. It'd be The Witcher 3. If I could go back and play The Witcher 3 blind again. The side quests were so surprising. The main quest is brilliant. I love the upgrade paths. I love finding the loot. I love finding, the Witcher gear. I like the, the world is so interesting to explore and so fully fleshed out. Both DLCs really switch things up in meaningful ways. I'm still planning on playing it again anyway, but if I could go back and play it blind, oh my God, I'd play that game over and over again. It'd be my game.
That was really a big shock for me, Briar, when you actually played through that and you were telling us about it every week.
Yeah.
It was very meaningful. All right, guys.
Just get Tefty to play it. He will not play that game. I don't know what I think he knows how big of an undergoing it is, and he keeps telling everyone that he's gonna play it, but I don't think
tough.
He ever will.
You got to dedicate 60, 70 hours to it, and that's just
minimum.
More than that.
Minimum.
Yeah. 60, 70 weeks.
that's a big investment, and that's why I've tried to stay away from RPGs for the most part.
Oh, that's why I love them, man.
Oh,
What would you
one's
play?
So good though.
What would I replay? Dude, I have so many answers, dude. Like that are just
Hit me.
Mario RPG, Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy Tactics, Destiny, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, any of the old Castlevania series.
Symphony of the Night, that'd be
Symphony of
number
the
one.
Night,
listen,
boom.
I got a question for you. What about these games makes you want to forget your first playthrough and play through them blind for the first time now?
The story, man, because I've played them all so much that like it's like a song that I've listened to a million times. I know every lyric, I know every beat, I know where everything's at. And Link to the Past, like there's dungeon randomizers which are really cool and help with that. I wish that they would do them for like Earthbound. And I mentioned Chrono Trigger so much, but like, you know, at least Chrono Trigger had like 11 different endings or 13 or something stupid, but like that one's a little different. I don't necessarily know that one like the back of my hand because of all the different paths you have to take, but dude, if I had to pick one, okay, let's pick one. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. That was probably one of my greatest growing up gaming memories that I've had as a kid when I got that for Super Nintendo, man. I think I had touched on how I kept like the JCPenney catalog cut out, like took the page out and kept it in my pocket and like read it all the time. Like, dude, that universe, man, like just the whole idea of like adventure and swords and shields and magic and like monsters and like just all that stuff's like super intriguing to me. And the graphical upgrade,
the game
it really does, dude. There's a lot of people that still play it. You know, there's a guy I follow, Andy, on Twitch, who's one of the top speedrunners for that game, and he's really fun to watch. He does a lot of randomizers, and he'll do races with partner races. It's kind of complicated. But
what was the one that came out for the 3DS a few years ago that was based on Link to the Past?
Link Between Worlds.
That game was fantastic too.
It's in my 3DS right now, man. Like I haven't played it in a long time, but I mean, the last time I did play my 3DS, that's what I was playing. You know, I'm seeing, you know, a lot of it's from the Super Nintendo era from me. Like I'm seeing Super Metroid in chat. Like, boom! I had an awesome summer where I went to my dad's house in Missouri and played Super Metroid. Like my dad got me the game and he got me the player's guide, so I could literally find everything.
If I got the SNES Mini, that'd be the first game I'd go to because it's actually been so long since I played it that it'd almost be like a blind playthrough at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I modded my Super Nintendo Mini and I put 230 more games on it. It's fucking unbelievable.
That's stealing, you know, Beasley,
you
right?
just-
You know,
Hey,
that's-
I own the games, okay? All 230, Briar.
Right.
I don't
Can I
believe
just-
that
I believe
for a
you
fucking
bought-
second.
You bought
It's because I'm black, ain't it?
No, it's because I fucking know you. You fucking buying shit out the back of guys' vans at gas stations.
Yeah. They always happen to have everything I need, Briar.
you bought
It's like
the
if I was going grocery
SNES
shopping, there'd be a
Mini.
guy saying, "You need a Thanksgiving turkey?" I go, "Sure do."
Hold on, I want to hear what Gary has to say about
Wait,
this.
you bought the SNES Mini, which is the official way to emulate those games legitimately, and then you've modded it, so you've paid $100 to do what you could have just bought an SNES controller
this is something
for your
look,
PC and
That's
done
Let
that
me
all.
explain to you. No,
Very
this
good
is
point.
Very
Very
different.
good point.
No, that's not true.
Why
First
is it
of all,
different?
firstly,
Tell me
I
why.
bought two. That one there has never been opened. Secondly, this is by far the best Super Nintendo emulator of all time because the controller. It's a real Super Nintendo.
You can
So, I mean,
buy
a
a
real
Super
Super
Nintendo
Nintendo
controller and plug
controller.
it into a PC.
You don't
Well,
even need to do that. You could just splice them and download the drivers. You can take a shitty USB, cut it, take a Super Nintendo controller, cut it, connect the wires, and then download the drivers, and you can have an official Super Nintendo controller on PC.
Holy shit, Wilson! I didn't know that it worked that way.
Official.
You done fucked up.
So
man. Sorry.
I done fucked up, but I love it. All right, so look, I'm gonna run through a quick couple of games I would do. I do Shadow of the Colossus because that game meant a lot to me when it came out. It was really amazing. Super Mario World, Mario 3, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Fallout 3, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is the first Elder Scrolls game I ever played, and of course, first and foremost, the game I would probably do every week.
Pick one.
Would
I
be
want to hear. Pick
the-
one.
The Last of Us.
Last of Us.
There you go.
That's a good one.
That game is so, man. Nobody talks about it anymore. but that game had
He's
so
fucking
many
6
emotions.
years old.
You talk about
Shut
it
up!
every
So,
week.
how old is Mario, Briar? Mario got gray hair on his
There's
balls.
a
We
new
talked-
Mario
we
coming
mentioned
out this
10
year.
games just now.
Mario
And then
doesn't
The Last
age,
of Us is coming
man.
out next year.
Mario looked pretty dope with his
Yeah.
nipples out on the beach last week.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw
The
him.
girls really dig him, man. He don't even need no six pack. They still think he cute.
My question
Damn.
for this one was a bit of clarity in video game amnesia. Do I go back to the time when I first played it as well, or do I just play it as an
No,
old
you
man
play it
playing?
today, but you don't remember playing it the first time.
Because that's the thing. Because some of
Amnesia.
these games
You wouldn't play him. You wouldn't play him.
they've aged badly. Like in World
Yeah.
of Warcraft, right, which would have been mine. World of Warcraft would have been mine, but not in its current state. So I wouldn't like to play it for the first time now. But if I could go back to as it was in vanilla or in the Burning Crusade when I first played it, and everything was new, and all the people in the community were all experiencing it for the first time, and there was a genuine 2 years of mystery and intrigue and
Yeah,
discovery.
sure you
and
can go
community.
back, Gary. This is your
This
fantasy.
is your world,
Then
Gary.
it has to be World of Warcraft because it took what every other company was doing with MMOs and built the perfect fantasy MMO that for a good 7 years was unstoppable and peaked at 12 million concurrent players.
It was
That's
that
like-
good?
It's still great now, but it was.
I
12
played it and
million
I was bored to
active players.
tears.
You're in the minority.
No, and more than likely you are, Briar, because I've heard a lot of people talk about World of Warcraft, and I've never played the game. I
You've
played,
never ever played it, BC?
No, never.
Oh,
not
man.
once.
You know what we should do? One night we should all get together and have Gary give us a tour of World of Warcraft.
That's what we
I'd be
should do.
down.
No, it's Gary's tutorial video teaching 3 fucking noobs who know nothing about it.
Gary
And we
don't have time
only
for that
play
shit.
it while
Right.
he's teaching us.
And it's
so
free for you
each
guys
time we
up
come back,
until-
we're
Oh my
supposed to
god, I
dump.
love
Up
this
until
like a
level
series.
20, it's free.
Mhm.
I only have one question about the game because I never played it, Gary. What's
It's
the
not
fucking
on PlayStation and it's not on SNES or the Yobo.
what's the fucking like?
What's the fucking like, man? If
Mm.
you go and roleplay a night elf
Ooh.
in Goldshire and dance on a table for someone, they'll give you plenty of gold for it.
There's a good
Pretty good.
chance that someone's getting fucked.
Okay. I'm down.
All right,
As
we're
long
gonna
as
talk
someone-
about this though for real, and we're gonna do
Okay.
this. Okay.
I'm down.
I'm in it.
All right. What's the next
Okay.
question?
The trend towards hardcore gaming and why is casual a dirty word? So the hit points are Dark Souls difficulty, roguelike, one life games. Why is this genre so relevant? When did easy games with a good story and experience stop being cool? Mario Odyssey, you can't die. You'll never see a game over screen. Does that make it any worse? Should all games have a god mode for players without elite skills to still enjoy the experience? Will games keep getting harder, or will the filthy casuals finally win the battle?
That was the best question of the week. I think that was submitted by, I think this guy Gary something Diaz.
Never
No,
heard
it
of
says,
him.
it says English muffin. Whoever that
I
is.
see that. I see the muffin.
Yeah, English muffin. Thank you, English muffin, for your submission. We appreciate you.
Casual
Yeah.
is a dirty word. I'll tell you why casual is a dirty word is because the decisions that developers make to attract casuals to games,
Suck.
yeah, they poorly affect the experience that hardcore players are looking at. So
Mhm.
hardcore players want deep. They want things that are
Yep.
going to take forever to complete. They want things that are, very difficult to figure out, and that they cause a lot of, thinking about, what role does this give me, and what skill tree should I go down on this playthrough, and like all of the most hardcore things to make a game look absolutely impenetrable to a casual player. Now that's assuming that a casual player is the kind of casual player that wants to play a quick game on their phone, or a story game for 6 hours, but never dive into the multiplayer or something like that. There's different definitions for casual gamers. Some people consider a casual gamer just somebody who plays less time. I don't consider that casual at all. I really consider it, you can be hardcore if you play 4 hours a week. No doubt about it. Like the Pope Bear, who always is calling himself a casual gamer. That guy ain't casual. He's on a Destiny fucking podcast. There's nothing casual about that.
He's filthy, but he ain't casual.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I totally hear what you're saying, and like in the same sense, like I'm glad you kind of touched on like that. a casual experience infringes on hardcore players, but in the same time, a hardcore experience infringes on casual players.
Mm-hmm.
The hard thing is to find that balance. And I feel like we kind of make that transition from young to old. I've been gaming for a long time. All of us have. I mean, and a lot of people in chat, a lot of people listening to this have been gaming most of their lives. No matter how old you are, it's a long time. I kind of feel like you kind of make that evolution as you get older from a casual into a hardcore gamer. I feel like, in a sense, if you're really passionate about the game you play, or any games for that matter, that makes you a hardcore gamer. Like if you're passionate about it and you really want to get behind it, that's what makes you a hardcore gamer. It's not about the amount of hours you put in. It's not about if you fucking earned your Galahorn or zerned it or whatever. Like, that has nothing to do with it. The fact that you're there, you're playing, and you're passionate about it is what makes you a hardcore gamer. Sometimes, though, you get older and responsibility falls in your lap. I'm the only one that's, the only one here that doesn't have, kids, youngins. I got lots of time, man.
Keep it zipped up, man. Keep it zipped up.
I do, man. I do. But so the thing is like, sometimes responsibility happens. Jobs, 9 to 5s, multiple 9 to 5s, children, multiple children. These things happen that prohibit your time that you can spend with gaming, and that doesn't make you any less than a hardcore gamer. If anything, that makes you a hardcore parent, man, and that's what comes first. Those sort of things. Like,
I'm a casual.
If you're gonna be a hardcore parent,
you
gotta
casual.
You're a casual parent.
I only do what I have to and try to get like the clan.
I feel like if we keep repeating, I feel like
Gary has a kid. Yeah.
I feel like the more we repeat the phrase "hardcore parent," the more likely we are to end up on a list somewhere on the internet. So let's use a different term.
Absolutely, Gary. Think ahead.
You're right. You see what I was getting at, though. Like it depends on what your definition. Like, some people do think that their definition of hardcore gaming is you got to have a certain level of prestige in Call of Duty, or you got to have the newest, baddest shit in Destiny. You got to have all the Iron Banner weapons. You got to be a completionist, so to speak. And I think it's in the eye of the beholder, man. Like, I hate to be a cop-out with my answer to this, but I think it's all in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes it's used as an insult, other times it's, I don't know, man. Like, it's tough.
You're absolutely right here, Wilson. There are certain sects of games that I've never had an affinity towards. I don't play sports simulators. You'll never see me buy a Madden or, any NBA Lives or anything like that. I don't play them, but I have friends who play that exclusively, who consider themselves
and they're hardcore about it.
Hardcore gamers. And when they talk to me about these games, and I say, man, I haven't bought like a Madden in 12 years. They say, man, you ain't no gamer. I said, you have no fucking idea who you're talking to. It is in the eye of the beholder. There's people out there who buy one game a year, and they'll play that game exclusively, and they'll play it for a year. There are people who only play Destiny. That's it.
I work photography with a guy who plays, I can't remember the name of the game, but it's a phone game. He plays it constantly. It's one of those like games where you have to wait a little bit, or you can buy like it's pay to play. Yeah, it is a pay to play game, but he's really happy with himself because he's never actually put any money into it, and he's in like a top ranked clan.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like.
Is it Clash of Clans?
It's not Clash of Clans, but it's like Clash of Clans, but it's more like a modern military thing.
What is it? Mobile Strike?
Mobile
I think
Strike,
it's Mobile Strike. Yeah,
Download 3 for now from the App Store.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, that was the.
But I mean,
they used to have
plays
the advert of the women with the big asses in the bikini.
I believe so.
Yeah. That's it.
He
plays.
Desert
Strike.
You can't say that guy's not a hardcore gamer. He spends tons of time in just headspace. He's always talking about the game and always thinking about the game.
Well, tell him, he's a hardcore gamer. We don't respect that shit. I had to get my sons out of that game. Yeah. Playing that filthy casual shit. I mean, hardcore gamer. Punk ass kids. I told my sons, like, give me that goddamn iPhone. Go play your PlayStation. iPhone. What's wrong with you? You too. I'm having flashbacks. I don't want to talk about phone games anymore.
Triggered. Get him out of here. Cut his mic.
Shit.
Phone what was games, the one? It was a tower defense game that came out real early in the life of the iPhone. Oh my god, I played the shit out of that game.
I mean, we've all had. I remember, Briar, you introduced me to one where there was like this little blob, like 3 years ago.
Badlands.
Yeah.
I love that game. That game was cool.
Games on phones can be fun. one of the most casual, I would consider casual games I've ever played and fell in love with was Pixel Junk Monsters. And I played it on the PSP and my Vita. And every time I play that game, I get balls deep in it and I can't get out of it. So it is a subjective thing.
I tell you what, if I didn't have a job, I would main Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
that's
I was
the thing.
gonna
The
say
only thing that stops me playing Pokemon Go is a full-time job. Like, if I could just walk the earth and collect Pokemon, that would be it. That would be my life.
Dude, I was just gonna say that. Like, the only it'd be like fucking midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go take dog for a walk." You know what I mean? I'd be going down the street,
pop the phone out,
playing Pokemon Go and shit. And my dog would be tired, and I'd be like, "Dude, like
the gym's right here.
There's a Squirtle around here somewhere. I live by the river, dude. Like, it's around here. Can we just walk like another 10 miles?" Like,
and Sam calls the police, and they pull up and say, "Excuse me, are you Wilson?" we got a call that
my buddy I went to high school with is like, he's like the canine unit in this town.
Yeah.
So he'd know me. He'd see me from a mile away and be like, "That's Wilson." Like,
you call your girl and say, "Hey, look, we found him over by the river.
We found him. He's in the middle of catching a Squirtle. He's not in violation of any ordinances. So you just gotta let him chill."
You gotta let him chill.
Dude, Pokemon Go would be dope as shit. And you can't say that those people aren't hardcore gamers either, man. They're fucking getting out and doing physical activity, and they actually had some big fucking live stream where in multiple cities around the world, they had these Pokemon Go events where there was thousands of people fucking throwing Pokeballs
I actually
everywhere.
Inadvertently this year on vacation spent $100 on Pokemon Go without meaning to. When I was in States in Florida, the main reason I was paying for data roaming, where you can pay, I think it's at $10 a day, for the 10 days I was there, so that I could use my phone when I was out and about. The only reason I was paying for that data roaming was for Pokemon Go. It was exclusively.
Trying to get those exclusive United States Pokemon.
There was Wi-Fi in the room and stuff. I didn't need it to contact home, but there wasn't Wi-Fi where the Pokemon were at, and they were out in the bushes, man. I had to go and hunt them. So, all day long walking around Florida. I got 2 of the region exclusives. I got Heracross and Corsola, which are you can only get them in Florida. I was so happy.
That's why you let that herring take your fucking fishing pole, because you were too busy trying to catch a fucking Snorlax or something.
Good stuff, man.
True.
I tell you, I could genuinely main Pokemon Go. I shit you not.
That's you know what, Gary? I had no idea that you. I mean, I've never played it. My kids really got into it at some point, but I'm an old guy compared to you.
What's fun
Gary,
about
so
it too, Beasley, is that it's totally a good family activity too.
Mm-hmm.
If
so
your
is
kids
fishing,
are playing
man.
and you can play it together. If you guys stop at, you stop at the mall and one person, your wife has to run in to, grab something. You're all sitting in the car talking about, are there any Pokemon here? It's fun.
It's competitive as shit, man, as well. Because if you get one more than them, that's it. They've got to one up you. It was good.
The gyms too, you can battle and stuff like that. It's a really cool game, man. I might have to get back.
I might have to start playing it again.
Oh God,
now that
Gary.
I'm talking about it, it was fun.
Gary gets people into shit. I tell you, man.
Good.
You should do a fucking IRL Pokemon Go stream.
I love it.
Yeah, you just have to be careful about where you go, though.
Yeah, especially now you get robbed. Give me your underwear. All right, so the next topic is, what do we think about Cyberpunk 2077? This topic was submitted by Scott Cannon. I felt like it was going to be Gannon, but it's Cannon. I'm sorry.
I know two things. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As a huge fan of The Witcher, I'm super excited about Cyberpunk 2077, says Scott. What do you all know about this title, and what sort of possibilities could this have for gaming?
I know 2 things. 1, I'm definitely getting it. And 2, whatever the special, awesome, extreme edition of it is, I'm getting that too. Because The Witcher 3 sold me so hard on what CD Projekt Red is up to that I don't even care. They've got a free pass for me for the next game. I'm gonna, whatever their super awesome, $800 statue in your front yard edition is, I'm getting that.
You're not gonna put it in your front yard, are you?
Dude, if it's an 8-foot tall statue, I'm doing it. We're doing it. We're making this happen.
What's your address again?
I can't
make a road trip.
Oh, I fucking showed. Never mind.
Easy there. Dude, all I've seen from Cyberpunk is the trailer and the fucking particle effects, dude. whoosh, man, I'm in. And like Briar said, CD Projekt Red, like I'm balls deep in The Witcher right now. Like, and dude, more from like, obviously it's not the same universe, but they're obviously capable of swinging that big dick.
Yeah, these guys are working on a different level than every other game maker right now, as far as I can tell.
They would be what we consider trendsetters. The Witcher kind of turned the world on its ear with everything they did with that RPG. The size of the world building, the characters, the story, and so they're one of the few developers that, like Briar said, get that pass. What Rockstar is coming out with, people are going to buy. What CD Projekt Red comes out with, people are going to buy. Naughty Dog, the same thing. So yeah, I'm definitely picking this game up. There's no question about it, and I pray to God that I actually finish it.
You see, the part of Scott's question that he was asking was about whether or not we'd see it as a game changer, because in the open world RPG space, I can't remember a game recently that has been a sci-fi kind of Blade Runner-esque, film noir setting. It's all been fantasy 4. And wizards and elves. That's post-apocalyptic. Yeah. That's kind of not the same as going into, like a Blade Runner city, where it's kind of that feel, like a living, which is what cyberpunk is meant to be. So for me, definitely, I think this could be very influential and something that maybe you get like one fantasy game and then you get the next 5 years of fantasy games trying to be that catch that fire. I think this could be something that starts more sci-fi in our games, which, for me could be something important. I mean, I'm super, super excited about it. And the reason that I am is, like you say, what the credibility that CD Projekt Red have got. I played The Witcher as well myself recently, just because I wanted to see what it looked like on a couple of monitors I had in the Steam Link and just having a look. And I was in one of the early levels near Novigrad in a forest. And just looking at the way they built forests and the placement of trees and the lay and the topography of the land, I've never seen a game that looks more like a real forest than The Witcher 3. I genuinely believe that I'm in a forest when I'm playing that game, and no other game has ever captured that. I've always felt like I'm in a video game forest. So if they can build, futuristic film noir, Blade Runner-esque cities, Total Recall feeling cities with that believable credibility, then yeah, I'm down. So yeah, Scott, I agree.
It can be a game changer for sure. I think we're all excited for this game. You guys let us know what you think in the comments.
I think it could be a trendsetter. That's all I really want to end on. I think
because they haven't shown us too much. Suit. The stuff that they've shown is like CG cutscenes and stuff like that. Once we actually see the game and what their true vision is, I think we'll be a lot more excited. The next topic is a short one, but I'm sure it's going to really open up the conversation. Marvel or DC, and why? This was submitted by Tony Avila. He says, what side of the chasm do you fall on, Marvel, DC, or anything else? Why did you pick the side you do?
100% Marvel.
Really?
Why did I pick the side that I did? X-Men, dude. X-Men was awesome, man. Like the cartoons I used to watch like every morning before school. I was into all the trading cards, stuff like that. Like I think it wasn't Donruss, it was Topps, I think, who put out.
Yeah.
My parents own a sports memorabilia store, so when I was a kid, I was like, hey, y'all got that wholesale hookup? Why don't you get some X-Men cards? And I'll work for the rest of my life, and you can hook me up with like a box or two. And I had the whole set, dude, and that shit was awesome, man. Like Wolverine and Sabretooth had so much history, dude, so much rich lore, and like awesome. Like, I mean, I don't really know if it's like an obscure X-Men character, but like Omega Red was dope. Like there was just so much cool stuff, and like I mean, like Batman and shit was cool, dude, but it just wasn't. I'm gonna say this. I was that edgy kid who wanted, like, Batman was cool, pow, boom, pam, all that stuff. But I wanted like fucking superpowers and people falling out of the sky and shit blowing up, and like not the end of Gotham, but like the end of the world unless we do some shit about this. And like X-Men really delivered with that. With that being said, things like Superman and Batman are still really dope, and I have the utmost respect for people if that's their preferred way of I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't dark enough for me.
Yeah.
X-Men wasn't really that dark, but it was darker, if that makes sense.
Well, for me, it's a little bit more complicated. I would say Image Comics, not because of Spawn or anything like that, but because of the Walking.
That's not a choice.
I would say Image Comics,
Beastly.
not because of.
That's not Beastly.
You guys hear anything?
It's not a choice.
Not because of Spawn, but the Walking Dead comic book series is amazing. And DC doesn't have enough characters for me to really. They never suited my taste as far as heroes or villains. They do have some good ones. Batman, of course, Joker, Superman. But, other than 4 or 5 top tier heroes and villains, the rest of them are extremely obscure and lackluster compared to the offerings of Marvel. So Marvel is definitely the one for me, especially as of late, what Disney has been doing with the Marvel films. And of course, the comics are just as prevalent today as they've always been. You got characters like Wolverine, of course, the X-Men, the Avengers, and everything in between. Of course, Marvel to me has the best superheroes. And they always say that DC has the best villains, but if you ask me, they're pretty close there as well. So my answer is definitely Marvel. I wish The Walking Dead was in Marvel because that's one of the best comics I've ever read in my life.
You see, I think I'm going to kind of agree with you guys on the Marvel for a few reasons, but I just think DC characters just didn't feel that cool. Like, if you actually analyze Batman and go a bit deep onto him, his superpower is his money. Like, that is his one superpower.
Pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. I'm not going to lie.
Zuckerberg's got money. Jeff Bezos has got money. Bill Gates has got money.
They're running the world, dude.
Yeah, but they're not Batman. I mean, if you
no, they're not
money,
Batman,
like,
but they could be because they
you
got enough
know.
fucking money to be. Yeah, you don't
Nobody
know.
knows Bruce Wayne is Batman in the comic book.
What I'm saying is,
Jeff Bezos could be fucking Batman, and we just don't fucking know.
Elon Musk could be a superhero. He's got all this money. We don't know.
With Batman, if you took his money away, right, he's an orphan with anger management issues. He's a therapist, not a
Puerto
batsuit.
Rico
That's all I'm
thinks
saying.
that Elon Musk is a superhero.
Really?
He brought the gift of electricity.
It's a huge thing, man.
That's real. That ain't no comic. That's some serious shit.
Superman, right? He's
not all heroes wear capes, Gary. Not all heroes.
He's not a Superman, right? He's not a Superman. He's an alien who's gone and started. It's like me walking into a kindergarten and just bitch slapping the kids left, right, and
Are you saying that
center.
Elon Musk is a alien?
No.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about? Oh my god, can we talk? I'm kidding.
He crawled out of the Walmart tunnels, I heard.
Don't go there. Don't get me started. Moving on.
But yeah, I mean, Marvel for me, I think they've just got cooler heroes. Like you say, they've got, if you watch the new Logan movie, like, man, Logan got me jacked up on Wolverine. Like, that dude's cutting heads and splicing brains and all that sort of stuff. It's just things that you don't really see in DC. I guess you do see it in the comics. Like, there was a few comics I like the stuff that Frank Miller wrote, like The Killing Joke, if you've ever read that Joker story where the Joker, paralyzes Jim Gordon's daughter and takes her through and shows like pictures of her beard. Yeah, it's old. It's from the 80s. If you know,
quick too.
Too soon.
But yeah, and again, I liked all that stuff. But yeah, in the modern cinematic age and the modern age of comics, I think it's difficult to be a DC fan right now. I do think that people, Marvel are just shitting gold left, right, and center. And the only thing good that's come out of DC in the past 10 years has been the Wonder Woman movie, I think.
No, dude.
Christopher
Dark
Nolan,
Knight,
Batman.
man.
Come on.
Dark
Yeah.
Knight was so
Christopher
dope.
Nolan.
That's
dude.
not
Best
DC
superhero
Studios,
films of all
though.
time.
That wasn't.
But at the
DC.
same
DC
time,
property.
it's a
Come on.
fucking
Batman.
DC concept. Like, if you make a fucking movie about Mario, you're gonna give some sort of credit to fucking Nintendo. But like, I kind of go back on what I said about like it not being dark enough because there are some aspects in comics of Batman that are extremely fucking dark. The Joker in certain aspects was a fucking crazy motherfucker. And like, I did love the movie. Like, Heath Ledger, that's probably one of my favorite performances, hands down, of any movie of all time. I know we're talking comics here, but ultimately, I just want to make it come out like I'm not shitting on Batman and Superman. I think they're both awesome. But the question asked me to pick one, and I'm gonna go with Marvel. But like, I kind of going back a little bit on what I said because there was some really dark shit with Batman, and like that's kind of what I was more into. Like that whole, you want to see a pencil disappear, and he fucking slams that dude's head down on it. Like that shit's awesome.
Christopher Nolan made the best superhero films of all time.
I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I'm gonna say DC. And I don't read comic books. I never have been a comic book fan for whatever reason. I've just never been able to do it. But the movies, everybody loves the current like Avengers movies, and they're great. I don't actually like them that much, to be honest with you. I said they're great, but I don't actually like them that much. Like, I just watched Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was pretty ho-hum.
Oh, please. That was awesome.
I mean, how many fucking Spider-Man movies are we going to watch that are origin stories? That's all I'm saying. They made like fucking 9 of them already.
That wasn't an origin story.
It pretty much was. He's still in high school, whatever.
I cite Guardians of the Galaxy here. Guardians of the Galaxy.
So here's the thing. I agree with you about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I know that they're going to tie Guardians of the Galaxy with like the Avengers movie, but to me, the risk of them ruining that franchise by joining it to the Avengers is so fucking high that it has me a little bit upset with Marvel.
Why?
Because I don't like the Avengers movies. They're not good. They're not good movies.
But okay, well, you're in a very small minority in that department.
I understand that, but I can honestly say I don't like the movies, and
I haven't seen a single one.
Really?
To me, like that's a big problem. But if you talk to me about DC movies, yeah, they bring some stinkers, but Wonder Woman was better than any of the Avengers movies, and I would say any of the Marvel movies in general, except for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and possibly Iron Man 1. Wonder Woman was phenomenal. And
it was okay,
The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight are better than any of the Marvel movies. Period. Like there's absolutely no
Winter Soldier, man. Come on, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy. Look, I agree with you, Briar. I think Wonder Woman was a really good movie.
Yeah.
Is it as good as the Avengers? I don't think so. But of course, this is it's subjective.
And then the TV series, we have Gotham, which I really enjoy Gotham. It's one of the few TV shows I don't like to miss. I really enjoy that show. Daredevil was pretty good in season 1 and season 2, but most of the shit that's coming out from Netflix as far as the Marvel TV shows, it's been fucking
Jessica
terrible.
Jones.
Jessica Jones was terrible.
The first season was really good.
Luke Cage was terrible.
Hated it.
No, the first
Iron
5
Fist
episodes of Luke
sucked.
Cage was awesome.
Yeah, but then they went down a fucking hole and was chased by Drano. Like, it was so bad.
That's awesome.
Toxic.
Hey, you're right, Brian. Brian, you might change my mind here.
And I would say it's less than the first 5 episodes. I'd say it was like the first 2 episodes were pretty good of Luke Cage.
Look, the very first Daredevil was
Christmas.
excellent. Daredevil, the very first season was excellent. I didn't like season 2. Jessica Jones season 1 was amazing to me.
Nah,
I thought it cast a different.
The only thing good about Jessica Jones season 1 was Kilgore.
He was awesome. He was, but I do agree. I thought Luke Cage was just. It sucked to me. I couldn't get past I watched the entire thing, but by the time I got to the 5th episode, Brian, you're right. I was like, this is shit. And the same thing with Iron Fist. And then this whole team up, they had ruined it so badly by the time that this group adventure came out. I didn't want to watch it.
If they want to continue making Iron Fist, they have to recast it because that guy is terrible.
But you do
bad
know,
actor, and he doesn't seem
to
know kung fu. Which is the whole fucking point of the character.
He's meant to be the living fist, the living weapon, and he's just. I genuinely feel that I could beat him in a fight, and I have no fighting experience whatsoever. I've never been in a fight in my life, and I think I could hold my own against the Iron Fist.
Like I'm enjoying almost every episode I watch of Gotham, and I actually like The Flash quite a bit too. I don't watch it that often, but when I do watch it. It's a pretty fun TV show. It's light, it's light and it's easy to watch, and you don't have to watch every episode to know what's going on.
All right, well, I guess thank God we didn't do a Revolver Decides on this. That would have been really
I
tough.
totally would have caved just because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
I would have caved like a
so
fucking
good.
brick. And the only reason I went with DC is just to be contrary, because it really is all about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm kind of with you a little bit in the sense that the 2 Marvel movies that are my favorite weren't made by Marvel. So like Deadpool and Logan are like my 2 standout favorite.
Like
so
Deadpool?
fucking dope.
I like
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
So good.
Did you like the Winter Soldier, Captain America?
No, I thought that movie was
What?
terrible.
I see it.
All the Captain America movies are terrible.
I was never a Captain
Oh
America
my
fan,
God.
man. Like,
What's
come
that guy's
on.
You need
name?
to watch
Chris Evans?
Winter Soldier, man. Yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris
he was
Evans.
Human
There's
Torch.
no depth to that character whatsoever. He's just, I'm a good guy.
Watch the Winter Soldier, man. If you think that about the Winter Soldier,
I
man,
like to
he
do
had a
good
lot
things
of
with my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to throw a spanner into the works there. He's got depth now. Did you see? He's got a beard, so that's added to the character.
Yeah. You know what? You know what Captain America never does? He never kills a motherfucker just to get his scope. That's what he never does. That's the kind of character I like to watch.
Okay.
Chris Evans will forever be immortalized in my mind as Jake Weiler from Not Another Teen Movie. Old school.
That PUBG
All right, so
reference, though.
We got
Never forget
one
Biznat 12.
topic left. Who would like to cover the last topic?
Gary, do it.
Do it, Gary.
Our perfect game is the closing topic of this week's Revolver show. We find it easy to criticise games we play or games we read about. We offer a wealth of ways to improve them, but if we had infinite resource and capability, what would our own dream game be?
Haven't we done this?
What would the genre be?
I feel like
We
I've
haven't.
talked about this.
We did this in Beastly Thoughts about 2 years ago.
Okay. So mine, everybody knows mine, so I'll just go first. It's basically an FPS that is integrated into Google Maps, so that you could play an FPS shooter with your friends anywhere on the planet in real environments.
Damn it, Brian. That's
it.
good.
And now I also want it in VR. Wilson, I think you're muted.
I'm going to take that a step further, and I'm going to say an iteration of Google Sky, which
Google
is like
Sky?
Google Sky is where you look around our solar system and find all sorts of fucked up things that shouldn't be there or that NASA tried to blur out real shittily.
UFOs and shit.
Yeah, obelisks on the moon, things like that sort of nature on the moon. Real common stuff here, Briar. But for me, it would be basically No Man's Sky, but what it was supposed to be, but with Google Earth, where it's actual real celestial bodies and you're going around exploring. And I want it in VR.
Yes, I'll play that. I'll play that. I'll buy that for $60. I'll buy the DLC too. And
that's too bad because it's going to be $90.
Because it's going to come with some kind of like dope ass glass pendant because Wilson made it.
Yeah.
Can you still access Google Sky?
NASA, propaganda.
It's gonna be NASA, but it's gonna be spelled with two S's.
NASA.
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 Can you still get on Google Sky after NASA banned you? Is it still available?
Yeah,
to
I'm
you?
still good, man. They haven't quite. I switched my IP around and stuff. I'm good.
You're right. You're unbanned now from NASA. I don't know. For me, if I had to jump in on one there, I think it would have to be an MMO. I think all games now, games as service or shared. I think MMO is a bit of a dead word. They're all kind of shared world games. That's kind of the new buzzword for what an MMO is. Massively multiplayer online is a shared world game. I don't know necessarily if I'd have a shooter even. I think it'd have to have some shooter aspects to it or some sort of combat aspect to it, because I think it would have to have something that you could do with friends. I wouldn't necessarily say this is what the game has to be, but for me, I want a game that is the type of game that I can just come onto and always have something to do. A game that's persistent, evolving, and widespread. So I want a game that's almost as broad in its scope as you are as a human, in the sense that if you want to be a glassblower creative in this universe and sell your wares and expand your enterprise in that way, you can be. If you want to be the space pirate, you can go and do that, and you can be that. I don't know, for me it's very much a game that's complete freedom of choice, almost like Another Life, but good. That'll probably be right.
Good answer, man.
Yeah.
Done, man. Cheers.
For me, thinking of the perfect game just makes my head hurt.
Can I guess? Last of Us 3.
Ooh, you went one past. I really appreciate. I'm not a developer, and I don't write video game stories. A few years ago, I told Briar and the old show hosts about a skating game, because it's something that doesn't exist. Being in a skating rink, everybody's gone to them. There are probably a lot fewer today than there were 20 years ago. But to go to a skating rink and be there with your friends and be able to walk around in first person in this skating rink while music is being played in the background, whether or not it's licensed music or not. But you can go over to the arcade and play actual arcades with your friends. Maybe if the game's made by a particular developer and they have the rights to old arcades, we could play that. Or you can get out on the skate floor and hang out with your friends and do combination moves. Like if you time it and sync up your moves well enough, you can form. Yeah. You can form combinations with your friends.
No,
we're going to get deeper onto this one. So we gave Wilson any vehicle he could possibly have from everything that was invented, and he chose a bus to get high in.
First, I chose a DeLorean, and then I started realizing that would cost a lot of money, and then I could spend less. Yeah,
we've given Beasley any game in the world, anything.
We're going to go skating.
And he's chosen to go roller skating with his friends.
But wait a minute, break it down further, because he's not roller skating in this grand world that is open to
just a skating rink.
Any possibility. He's picked a wooden floor inside a skating rink.
With maybe licensed music.
Was it Tanya Harding's pro ice skater? Is that what we're doing?
Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding are out of this adventure. You still get to keep your kneecaps. See a guy come with a baseball bat.
Generic soundtrack.
But look, check it out, guys. And this is probably more nostalgia for myself than anything else. I grew up skating. My family skated. We're all, avid roller skaters. I haven't done it in a few years, but we spent a lot of time in my teen years skating and doing all kinds of crazy moves and dancing on the skate floor, basically. And it's something I don't do often. And I thought to myself years ago, I probably got shit on 3 or 4 years ago when I talked about this too. I'm pretty sure I did, but it's something you never see. It could be because it's a horrible idea. I could see that. Could be the worst idea, but who wouldn't? To me, to actually be able to go and you see 20 people on the skate floor, a particular lobby, you can choose what type of lobby you go to, what kind of skating rink you go to, and you see people out there competing against other groups.
I don't think it's a bad idea,
Yeah. I think this is a perfect pick. This is a perfect pick because the only way this game possibly gets made is if Beasley made it happen.
What I like the fact is your optimism that there'd be multiple servers of people playing this. It would be one server.
You sack of shit.
Waiting for some people to join, just standing alone by your speakers blaring generic synth unlicensed music, which was safe to play.
It'd be MIDI like the old school ringtones.
It'd be exactly like being in a current skating rink.
I'm serious.
What do you have like disco night and VR, and I could get drunk and do this? That'd be fun.
Yeah, adult night. All your avatars get old. Come on, man. You gotta think. You gotta use your imagination.
Again, it's not.
I can't wait for the sequel, Public Pool Simulator.
Yeah. Who's going to go on the 12-foot tonight?
Basically, man, I love you. It's not that the game's bad. It's that you had infinite scope and possibility. And it's like you asked for a sandwich. That's kind of the equivalent of what you...
It was the best sandwich I could think of. But in this actual post, in this question, they asked, what about games as a service or, single-player epic or FPS? And I was thinking, what if we could have just a PlayStation or Xbox service, kind of like what Xbox is doing now with the Xbox, their little gaming service, which is similar to Netflix. But what if PlayStation or one of these huge companies allowed you to pay $200, $250 per year to get every single game, all the new stuff, everything that comes out? I mean, would you guys pay $300 a year to Sony or to another company if every game that came out, even the new releases, like Netflix came out and you had it? Would you guys do it?
It really depends on pricing, and it depends on platform. Like, if it were $300 on Xbox and $300 on PlayStation maybe, probably not at $300, honestly. On Xbox, no fucking way.
Okay.
Because they just don't have enough new releases that interest me. So it really depends on pricing. Like, if Steam did it for $300 a year, I'd be like, yeah, goddamn yeah, because there's so many fucking games that come out every day on Steam that if I had no worry about money because I was already paying like a monthly fee to play everything, then I'd be checking out all sorts of shit on Steam. In VR honestly, alone, I could spend $300 a year.
Yeah, you sure can. I honestly believe, Briar, that this is a direction that we're going to go. We kind of see how the Netflix model destroyed the previously.
Not if
the prices aren't right.
Not if publishers can help it, man. They don't want this. The music industry didn't want it. The movie industry doesn't want it. If developers can keep this from happening, they're gonna.
Aren't they already trying it though with PlayStation Now?
That's older stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's heading in that direction in a sense.
And Xbox has a very similar...
I would fucking pounce all over that shit. $300 a year, and if I could also share that account with Sam, maybe, like, how you can with Games Now. Like, dude, that'd be a no-brainer for me. Because you got to think, man, if me and Sam are getting a game, that's $120. if we both got to get it. You know what I
that's a
mean?
good
So
point.
It's actually not, Wilson. Now, Kate has her PS4 right there. My Pro's here.
Right, I do the same thing.
Yeah, you game share. You don't have to.
Yeah, you do. But like, just saying in general, like if I could still game share, it would 100% no brainer. I spend more than $300 a year on games on PlayStation. No problem.
When you put it like that, $300 doesn't sound unreasonable.
$300.
And especially if you could share with
When
your
you break
family,
that down,
I mean, like,
what is that? $15 a month, something like that.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
I can't math. Barely
even
read,
just
let
one
alone math.
person. If you think
$20.
$300 is really just not a huge amount of money, like even if it's just for you, maybe like $22 a month. It's pennies for the games. I mean, if it was a subscription service, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. 500-600 minimum would have to be something
easily.
near there.
But I mean, I've had things and canceled them before. Like I said, like if Xbox was doing this right now, there's no way I would sign up for the Xbox version because they just don't have they're not compelling enough to me as far as the exclusives go. And if I already had it on PlayStation, then I would just do the PlayStation version. And frankly, I don't know that I do the PlayStation version either because I don't know what's PlayStation got for exclusives right now that I'm really interested in. God of War 3, I think that's the only, or God of War Dad Edition. That's the only one I can really think of.
God of War. I don't really look at it as exclusives. Like, okay, so if I had to pledge to one or the other, yes, the first thing I'd look at was exclusives. But like, I would just look at which one has an overall potentially more interesting library. Because even if I only did PlayStation for 1 year and I got caught up on all the games and everything and was literally caught up, I could switch over to Xbox for the next year, get through that, and then at that point, like, you're pretty much all caught up with games. I mean, I feel like it would probably only last me a year, maybe two, before I'd be like, at this point, they're not creating. I think that would be more of a back catalogist dream.
Yeah, hell yeah,
or just sign up during the holiday season. For like October, November, just sign up for 2 months, play all the games that come out in the holiday season, and you're done.
$60, yeah, and you'd be good to go. Yeah.
12-month contracts, man, or 24-month contracts. They get you with that shit. You know it'll be a 24-month contract. It'd lock you down. Now the only I get it. You cancel it. For me, the only subscription I'd never cancel is that Pornhub Premium, and the 1080p is worth it. 720.
You haven't done 4K yet?
No, I think that's a.
You don't want to see that shit in 4K, Wilson. Things are revealed.
I kind of do.
Things are revealed.
Like what, Briar? What's revealed?
I don't want to talk about it in public.
A science project, really.
This is a family show, Beasley.
Yeah, man.
Has anybody done VR porn?
Yes.
Actually,
I don't have VR. Like
many times.
Wow, I totally just admitted that if I had VR, that I'd try it out. That's kind of fucked up.
I actually tried. Kate and I actually tried to view it.
Yeah.
And we tried initially when the VR first came out because at that time everything was new, but there was some issue with the conversion of the type of file.
And so I've never
been able to see it.
Do it on the PlayStation because the resolution splits. You'll be on 480p, and you're talking 480p in your eyes. It looks like it would look like there's Vaseline smeared onto your eyes, and then you're trying to look at the world.
Hey man, some people like kinky shit, Gary.
On the Oculus and the other ones, it's still relatively convincing, except for the fact you feel like a tiny little human that's being descended upon by these gigantic creatures that are devouring your body. The perspectives still aren't correct.
It's giant porn. It's fucking.
It is. If you ever want to feel like that you're being savaged by a room of giant lady creatures, then yeah, it's pretty good. It's relatively convincing, is what I'll say. But you really want to pay for the premium stuff. So
what you're saying is the scaling's not there. They need to really work down the scaling.
Perspective-wise, yeah, because it's again you're looking at a screen, and if something moves close to the screen, it's just like a giant head near you. It's kind of that sort of thing, yeah.
A little unsettling.
It is, yeah. It's early days of it, but as I said, if you've got it, that headset's not doing much else for you except going on Google Earth and looking at ass. That's kind of the two staples of the VR headset right now.
That's what's made it remotely successful is like remote
if I was selling them in Best Buy right now, it would be like, right, you can do two things with this: Google Earth and ass.
I can show you Google Earth, but you'll have to bring it home to do the ass.
Right.
You can look at it.
You can go down
I'm walking away. I'm walking away. You deal with that in Best Buy.
You got a private room in the back
with a red curtain and a red light. Go ahead and check this out.
Wet wipes on a PVC chair in there as well. Yes, yeah. I could probably shift some Oculus Rift headsets actually with that sales approach. That's pretty good.
I think with that voice, you could shift just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'm kind of wanting to buy one right now with you just talking about it.
The PVC chair sold me.
$400 of kink.
I'll take 2.
Oh, shit. All right, guys. I think that ends it as far as our topics. You guys want to pimp out anything this week?
Yes, the goddamn podcast that we didn't pimp out last week. We actually hit over 100 followers this week, so happy days. On Podbean, we have over 100 followers, so that's good news. iTunes, we need reviews. It's embarrassing that I'm the only reviewer on iTunes. Every week I look at it. Every week it makes me sad.
Let's go write some reviews on the iTunes one, just making fun of Gary. Let's just like directly referencing Gary's review.
Please do.
Let's do that.
Actually, if you've ever used your Oculus Rift or your HTC Vive for looking at ladies or men on the internet, give us a review on that and put it on our podcast. We don't really care what you're reviewing, as long as you're reviewing something. Tell us about all the times Beastly was wrong, because I think there was 5 or 6 hashtag opportunities on this podcast. The ice skating, the roller rink was one, but yeah, for me,
it was a good idea.
You know, again, what, Beastly, you got to check out Game Room on the Vive. It's a VR game that it doesn't have roller skating, but it has the same social kind of atmosphere and experience that you're.
It's called what now?
Game Room. Gary, you've played Game Room, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Gary. Go ahead. Start pimping that podcast again.
Well, as I said, we get over like 500 people a week that will download our podcast or listen to our podcast. Sorry, download is much more from various sources, audio only, and we have no reviews. So if you're one of the 500 plus that are downloading it, one of the 1,500 that are streaming it, just give us a 5-star review if you think we're worth it. Put some words in there, because it does make all the difference to us. I mean, we joke
really
a lot,
does,
but
guys.
It
I
really
think it's
does help
actually
us
a different 500 every week, because every time somebody new listens to it, they're like, "Oh my god, this is terrible."
It is a high turnover attrition, and
we've actually got awesome SEO, but terrible repeat viewership.
I'm going to do a callback. I'm going to do a callback to our Chilean listener. Who, if you remember, we had one listener from Chile. Well, they've told their friends, because we're up to 4.
4
so
Chileans
growing in Chile.
Nice.
400% growth in Chile.
We love you, Chile.
I'll just let you know too that if you leave a
in
funny
Chile.
one, we might read them on the podcast. You never know.
Yeah.
You might get
that'd
your
be
funny
a fun
review.
thing to do. That'd be a fun.
This will definitely happen again, guys. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, send your topics for consideration to revolvergamescast@gmail.com. It's
or feedback. If you just want to add something.
Yeah, ask questions, add something to the show. Revolver Gamescast.
You want to talk about how wrong Beastly was
every day?
Let us know.
And where can they find you, Beastly? let's do the round table here of shouts. Where can they find you?
They can find me on YouTube at Beastly Gamer. I'm there every day if you guys would like to talk to me and find out what I'm doing, or on Twitter at Beastly__gamer. So you guys can find me there as well.
Rest of you?
Whoa. We all just pointed at each other here. If you want to find me and talk to me on Twitter, I'm at Ryu Wilson. You can tweet me all sorts of funny shit. If you want to talk about aliens or government conspiracies or go make fun of NASA, I am down.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation. We're on the same page. Hey, Wilson. I know what's going on.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
I'm reading between the lines, man.
You're awake. You're
red pilled for sure. I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Once you swallow that shit, can't go back, man. That blue just can't do it anymore.
Jesus.
I don't know. I really like those blue pills, though, man. The wife does too.
It's like Cypher, man.
The wife does too.
Those blue pills, man, they're underrated.
It's like, no, for the love of God, take the blue one.
I've got to be honest. Every time I bring the blue pills home, the wife hides them, so I think we're on different pages there. She definitely doesn't like them.
Oh, shit. Where can they find you, Briar?
I'm all over the place. So you can find me on YouTube. You can find me streaming on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at @TheBriarRabbit. But most of all, you can find me trying to figure out how to put porn on my VR headset.
We'll do it together, Briar.
We'll do a step-by-step video. Revolver will do a step-by-step guide to that. Expect it on the channel soon. That is a step-by-step. That's the first content I'm willing to drop.
To load porn on your VR headset.
Indeed.
Viagra. I was talking about Viagra. That's the blue pill I was talking about.
There must be some young people in the comments.
Sorry, Gary. I've interrupted you like 10 times in the last like 15 seconds.
It's not a problem. I like it. I like the dynamic here. We're all engaged and we're all active to talk, and that's the main thing. That's my classroom teacher there. You know, you're talking because you're interested. Yeah. So myself, Gary Diaz86, pretty much everywhere. Find me on PlayStation, Steam, Battle.net, Twitter. Not YouTube though, because fuck that minefield. I'm not even getting involved.
You're a smart guy, man. Very smart.
A minefield. That's perfect.
Not touching it at all. But honestly, if you want to touch my heart, then send feedback into revolvergamescast@gmail.com. Leave reviews on our iTunes, on our Podbean, or comments on the bottom of this YouTube video if you're watching it on YouTube. We engage with all of that. We talk through all of it. It helps us inform the show, helps us get closer to you as a community, makes us smile. And like I said, if the Viagra's hidden, gets us hard. So say what you can.
Smiling.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Peace.